Hey, I am Pops, and welcome. What is happening? Well, let me tell you. Let me tell you what's happening. I am trying Restream. This is Restream, not StreamYard. We'll see how that goes. I've tried to be the old dog, learn a couple new tricks. I also have a line on a replacement computer, so hopefully that'll be happening. There's more to talk about than I could even kind of catch up with doing videos. So I said, well, let me do a stream, interact with you guys, get a feel for some of the things that you guys are thinking and talking about. So I'll kind of incorporate that into our conversation. I'm going to let you guys, especially if you guys are members, if you guys want to come up here and join me, then that door will be open as well. And if you're catching this after the fact, please leave comments below on your thoughts, different inputs, suggestions, that kind of thing, how you think things are going. I wanted to really run through some different story ideas and things like that that are in my head, as well as try to troubleshoot through how to use Restream, because basically on the surface it's all very similar. So I'm just trying to play around with a few things and kind of see how it goes. So yeah, if you are a member, you're definitely going to be welcome to join me. If you have topics or something that you want to talk to, we can try to fit that in. Very impromptu. Stone Cold Loki wasn't able to do a comic book roundtable today, so I thought it was a good opportunity for me to just throw a couple hours out there. We'll see where things go, how long I last, those kinds of things. I got a drink, I got water, I got topics, I got things to talk about. Let's just kind of hammer away at it and see how things go. First things first is I hope you guys are really enjoying the comic book day. I really had a great response from the creators. Reggie Collects, Doug Bratton messaged me back about Isolation, the review of Isolation that I did. That's pretty awesome. Hey, Mr. Grant Gregory, hope you're doing well, my brother. Yeah, and Mr. GG, if you wanted to come up in here, you just let me know. I will be more than happy to just throw the link out there. I'm learning how to play around with Restream. That's kind of part of the motivation. Same for you, Angry Canadian. Awesome, man. Hope you guys are doing all right. If you guys want to hop in here, let me know. I'll throw the link out there for you folks through Twitter. I'm trying to learn how to play with Restream and get through a couple topics and that kind of thing. But no, it was really cool to review in Isolation. Similar to what Eric July did with ISOM, is Reggie Collects used his fan presence and his experience through YouTube and that kind of thing to gain some notoriety and some connections to allow for, let's see, I would love to, but I got my little one. Oh, hey, listen, bro, I totally understand. But anyway, yeah, no, I totally understand. You do your thing, man. But it was really pretty cool. So again, I did a review of Isolation. You can go to the channel, check that out. That video dropped today. If you remember, you got a chance to catch that earlier. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's the indie comicsgate self-publishing, funding, crowdsource type thing. And yet it's done a little different because he's actually making floppies. By floppies, I mean like single standalone issues, like it's like $6.99 per issue, right? He did have a deal in February if you were able to catch that. I mentioned it in our interview where the digital copy of #1 was free in the month of February. And I did my review, kind of go through a little bit with what that comic book is. But it was really cool to have feedback from them. Hopefully be able to maybe have another creator on, be able to talk to Reggie himself. That'd be kind of cool. So in that vein, I wanted to share this. I thought this was really cool today. This is definitely what's in the headline today. Congratulations to Graham Nolan and Chuck Dixon. They rolled out their Joe Frankenstein Indiegogo today. They are up over $20,000 already. I would, in full transparency, I am one of those backers, right? So we'll go through this book a little bit. If you loved like old sort of like monster stuff, Universal monster stuff, this is going to be a comic that's going to be you have these great writers, great artists, sort of like cool feel, very retro. Here's an option. It says $45. It's both covers. So you have two different covers here. And then you can scroll down, buy Grandma Cigar. And then here the Joe Frankenstein Nolan cover, you can get for $25. And then the Joe Frankenstein variant. And then, of course, there's the CGC graded and signed by both of them, by Chuck and Graham, for $100, which is a tremendous price. I got to be honest, $100 with an actual CGC, which is actually the signature series graded comic book for only $100. That's an incredible price for that. So this is actually a 72-page book. This is not some inexpensive thing. I will tell you that one thing I'm noticing. Hey, Mike, how you doing, man? Yeah, the Nolan books are freaking amazing. I will tell you one thing I'm noticing with Restream is the comments that you guys are making are popping up in Restream, but I'm watching it on YouTube in live chat, and I'm not seeing that. Someone, oh, there it goes. Okay, so I had to refresh. That's interesting. Yeah, so no, it's really, really cool to see another indie comic coming. He has all the information here. Let me put this link in the chat there for you guys, so you guys can see this. I'm interested, again, for those of you who didn't catch the very beginning, it is sort of a little test for me with Restream as well. Mike, give me a little, Mike, give me a little thumbs up if you want to hop in here for a minute. I don't know if you have time or not. For free. Again, trying to learn how to navigate a new system is always challenging for an old dog like me. Yeah, 20 grand in its first day so far, still going. It is now up over 300 backers, I believe. Yeah, 378. Wow. Yeah, okay. So this has all the details there for you to jump in. They did a little 2015 IDW issue, little thing going on there. Okay, so I sound different. Okay, that's interesting to know. Again, I'm on Restream, so give me thoughts on, am I too high, too low, those kinds of things. I'm going to pull up settings and see what it says to do. Oh yeah, I am totally on a different microphone. Thank you, Angry. How is that? Is that better? Restream reboots all of your settings, so that's good to know too, because I know I checked them. So very cool there. And Mike, I will I'm going over now. I'm copying and pasting that. I will definitely throw this in Twitter for you, man. Hit me up. See if it's something you can do. You're welcome. We can talk about whatever. Let's bear with me while I go through my mentions and try to get to you on Twitter. Sorry, man. There you are, Mike. All right. There we go. No, this is super cool. I'm really, really happy and pleased for them. By the way, this book will be part of the whole Nolan verse, which is really kind of cool. So if you're familiar with his previous works, obviously I did a review on Alien Agenda, Alien Alamo. It doesn't matter if you're talking about the next one is called Ghost of Matacumba Key. That'll be out very, very soon, in by the end of the summer. And here's his information on Joe Frankenstein. You can see the details here on that. And so that's super cool as well, by the way. So you don't have to come in blind. You can kind of come in. Oh, it sounds way better. Thank you, Angry, for letting me know. By the way, thank you for having my back, man. Talk about somebody who needs to be my producer. I'm about to just leading you around, man. Let's make sure we're on the same page, because you've caught me now on a couple times. So yeah, awesome. Joe Frankenstein. So Joe Pratt lived in and out foster homes till a fateful night, delivering pizzas. He's attacked by a coven of vampires. His young life may have ended right there if not for the intervention of a, quote, guardian angel who turns out to be the Frankenstein monster. Yes, that monster. And Joe learns that it's not a Pratt, but in fact, the last heir of the Frankenstein line. The monster has been watching over and protecting Frankenstein descendants from his bride and her creatures of the night as she seeks what the monster has, and she does not: eternal life. The secret lies in the monster's blood, but the code to unlock it is in Joe's. The problem is she doesn't want some of Joe's blood. She wants all of it. Super, super cool. So it's part one story. Here you go with some of the details and a little better look at the Nolan cover. Here you go, 64 pages, chapter 1, 2, prologue. Then you got your variant, which is Anthony Gonzalez Clark, right here. And then down here, you have some like little details with bookmark. There's a sticker, kinds of things. So very, very cool. And this is the CGC. Look at that, baby. Oh, yeah, look at that. Nice white or silver. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Hail, Chris Persia. How are you doing, brother? Yeah, I just, I'm learning Restream. And I know, Chris, you're rolling your eyes right now. I know. I am also very, very close to pulling the trigger on a computer. That's also in the works. Hey, Padawannabe's here as well. Stephen Ransom. I don't. Okay, listen. I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it in the door, but I will tell people if they don't. I didn't want to open the door up to just everybody, but Stephen, Padawannabe, Chris, if you guys want to come up in here, doors open. I'm going to figure out how to navigate this. Bear with me. And if you're backstage and I'm not responding to you guys, let me sure you figure out, let me know, because yeah. But look at this CGC Joe Kinstein, $100, man. What a great way to kick off their campaign. So excited for that. And so we're into sneak peek now, where you can see some of the art. Again, it's Graham Nolan, man. You are getting an OG. You are getting an OG. Here's Joe delivering his pizza. Of course. Oh my. Oh my. Let the boy in, girl. Oh my. Oh. Look at this face right there. I love it. I love it. That's great. That is great. So yeah, this is the first day of this Indiegogo. Okay, well, hang on. What happened? I beeped. Oh, so look. Okay, so here's something I learned. Hey, Mike, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Pops, how's it going, dude?
Doing great, man. So here's what I learned with Restream. When you popped in, it gave me a little boop. Talk about OG radio techniques, man. That was good stuff. All right.
Ooh,
That's
loving
cool.
that.
So now I'm trying to learn Restream. I've had my full of StreamYard. I'm having tons of problems with hesitation, starting and stopping. I've been playing with I've been playing with Restream. I don't necessarily have all the bugs and whistles worked out, but I thought, well, I don't have anything planned tonight. Something got canceled. We're just going to make this into a clip at some point, talking about Joe Frankenstein when we went live today, and I was going to run through my topics that way. So, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty spanky cool. Yeah, wow. I got tons of stuff going on my end. My God, geez, I'm just trying to find time.
Congratulations on some of the milestone stuff and things like that. So
yeah, thanks, bud. I got something really cool actually for my birthday that was this past Saturday. Right here. I don't know if you can actually see it.
Let me see if I can figure out how to make you big. Let's try this.
Okay.
Look at that, baby. Look at the old man doing it. All right. What you got there, man?
Right there. You see that goblet?
That's a holy grail, baby.
Yeah, it's the holy grail, baby. Got that from Gary Ambrosia.
Mike, you have chosen wisely.
I have, haven't I?
We are such uber nerds. It's so much fun.
You've chosen wisely.
Yes.
I'll try to be the penitent man here. So
yes. Yeah. So let's see what we got going on here in chat. Make sure I try to keep up the best I can. Steven's out at a cafe. He's doing his thing. So that's fine. No, man. No problem.
Lovely.
Let's see what he's saying here. Okay, thank you, but no too loud. Okay, I don't know. Pops, yeah. Nas is in the house. Nas is always crazy. Always great to have Nas. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm breaking down Joe Frankenstein. It's day one. I got to catch it at work. I listened to probably at least half. I mean, he had EVS on, he had Andy on, he had Sergio Carrillo on. I mean, all-star way to kick this off with Graham and Chuck.
Yeah, I've been seeing this pop up all over Twitter.
I'm glad. Me too. It's freaking amazing. And when I talked to Graham, I don't know if we talked about it and made the fun cut of the interview. We talked about it, or we talked on it in the green room or not. He was kind of like, Chuck and I are really disappointed that Joe didn't go the first crowdfunding. But now they kind of have their wheels and some of their expertise, so you can see the difference. And just all of this just looks so much fun. Of course, Joe's at a vampire party and doesn't realize it yet. So yeah, this is so much fun. So much fun.
I'm loving this. This is like classic Marvel stuff right here.
This is OG, like Hollywood classic monster stuff. By the way, if you're not connected to Graham Nolan's YouTube channel, during like October, he does like a monster movie a day. He did like 30-something movie streams. It was freaking great. Yeah, and I'm talking like the OG stuff, black and white stuff, where he could show a lot of it without any copyright issues. Just totally so smart. And I have that in like it's like Dementia 13, and you can go into like the I think it's Bela Lugosi and The Bat. It's like those Carnival of Souls.
Yeah,
it's like those really OG things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you know what this reminds me of?
Yeah,
It reminds me of a lot of the, back in the early 90s, they did, Marvel did the whole Midnight Suns kind of stuff.
Yeah,
This is what it's
definitely a little
reminding
bit
me
of that, and older than that, just kind of like the first appearance of Morbius. This really feels like that appearance of Morbius.
It does.
That early 70s, Marvels and stuff like that. It's just it really does have that feel. Just really good stuff, really beautiful stuff. So he comes in, doesn't really understand who saved him, and of course, he's been saved by Frankenstein. It's freaking great. Joe Frankenstein. Oh,
Joe Frankenstein.
Yeah. Read the comic. Then play the game.
I just might have to pick this up.
It's not bad, man. Look, they got some affordable options, like they're $25. You can do $45 for both covers right now. And you've got the $25 for one cover, $25 for each, and then of course that CGC, that gold standard, man, signed by both of them with the CGC slab. So
Montebello.
I feel like I'd be tooting my own horn if I tell everybody what I already bought, but I'm already in. It'll be coming.
You got the graded and signed one. We all know it.
I also got regular copies too. I got both. Yeah. I wanted one of each and the graded one. It's beautiful stuff. Yeah, Joe Frankenstein, man. Can you believe 20 grand first day? I don't know. I think YouTubers, whatever. I am so happy for them.
Yeah, me too.
Refreshing. Yeah, let's see what it does. Refresh and see what it did.
It's all this indie stuff that is really perking my interest up more in comics. Oh wow! And it's making me want to draw more now. So I'm dusting off my old pens and whatnot, and getting on Clip Studio Pro, and I'm drawing. I got an idea, and I think I might announce it next month in April.
I actually had an idea for a story today, and I thought to myself, I wonder if there would be a market. And I thought of like almost like a comic book story, but I thought about the idea, and I thought about it'd be kind of fun to force yourself to write something in very short, like only like 20 something pages. Like it would be nice to do something in a very short story.
Yeah.
Rather than like writing long forms, like almost like, because I'm not used to that. So it would be kind of interesting to see that. So
it would.
There's a capiche emoji. Which one, Nas, are you referring to as capiche? That is. So which one is capiche? That's the one that Steven used. This is supposed to be capiche.
Ah.
Huh. All right. Cool.
Quite possibly.
All right. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. So I'm having a hard time getting used to Restream and keeping up with chat. So folks, bear with me if I am way behind. You guys are talking about all sorts of crazy stuff. My mic is popping a bit. Don't bother with it now. It's not bad. Mic sounds fine. It's probably a mic setting. No, I think I buffered a little bit when I reset Indiegogo. Now, that's not a Restream problem. That's the computer problem, which we discussed briefly. And yes, I'm very close. I'm pulling a trigger on a new laptop. Probably would have done it yesterday if someone actually come over and talked to me and answered 2 or 3 of my questions. But customer service is dead. Yeah, as you know.
Got to break it in.
Yeah. I don't know if Chris Persia is still here. I know he's a wrench. Chris, if you could find Mike's link to his channel, I'd love to throw that out there in the chat, just in case there's somebody who's not subscribed to your work, my friend.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I had an interview last night, so I missed last night's stream. But what's going on, man?
What's been going on lately? Well, let's see. Last week I had my 25th live stream on Titillating Tuesday. So I had a bunch of people on, like Stone Loki. He was on there, and Gary Ambrosia, and God, we had Canadian Spider-Man. We had, just a bunch of people because I haven't technically. I'm using the free version of StreamYard, so I can only fit so many people on there. But I think last night, I mean, it was a funny chat. We ended up talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania and the writing on that, and then we were talking about The Mandalorian, which is out today, as a matter of fact. And just talking about the writing differences between what's going on in Phase 5 and Phase 6, and they have absolutely no idea what they're doing, like literally no idea what they're doing, as opposed to the Mandalorian.
No, clearly,
I don't think
they have. I was
going
to say with Mandalorian, I'm not sure they know what they're doing either. I think an AI might be writing all the dialogue. I don't know about you, but I felt like a robot wrote most of the dialogue. It was so generic.
Well, they kind of have an idea. It's just that Favreau has no idea how he's going to end it. He wants to go on for another couple of seasons. And I think probably, quite possibly, and this is just, I'm hazarding a guess here, that quite possibly, when you get to the point of writing certain characters, they end up kind of writing themselves to a certain degree. And I think he could possibly be at that point. It's like, I wanted it to end this way, but with the way maybe the characters are going on, I might have to take this in a different direction. Who knows? Or he's biding his time to see what happens with Kennedy, to see if she actually does forever leave or not. So I think he might be biding his time maybe a little bit, and he doesn't want to reveal all those cards just yet. And then after that, we got into Cocaine Bear. So,
all right, well, let's not leave Mandalorian because Steven's pointed out that Roman did his review. Yeah, he got up early like I did. I dropped my review. I will say this: I did not care for the episode enough that I am going to pretend that I am going to get up every morning and do that again. Yeah. Definitely not for comic book day, because Wednesdays are my comic book day. But I thought, well, for the first one, I will get up early, throw it out there. Didn't hate the episode. I thought my general assessment, if you haven't watched it, is it's a very generic episode. Like it's a very, it's here's what's happening, and then there's like a whole bunch of like seeds planted for what's going to happen, basically probably over the course of the entire season, not necessarily even, not even necessarily, within the next episode or two, just over weeks ahead. But not horrible. It just wasn't necessarily good either.
No, exactly. It's like an opener, basically. Again.
Yeah. Before we get to Cocaine Bear, because I haven't seen Cocaine Bear, and I want to get to your thoughts on Cocaine Bear, because the absurdity of Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know how transparent I want to be. I'm not giving Cocaine Bear my money, especially now that I know a lot about Cocaine Bear, but I will be more than happy to sail out and maybe make a trip by and check out some Cocaine Bear and pop up my thoughts after that. And whenever that happens, it's probably already out there, to be honest. However, did you go see Cocaine Bear?
I haven't seen Cocaine Bear yet, but Penny, one of the people subscribed to my chat, she went to go see it. She said it was hilarious. Just hilarious. And so I had a couple of people on last night, like Pop Culture Republic and The Lost Wanderer. And we were just having a blast out of it. It ended up making our own Cocaine Bear cinematic universe, with Meth Head Muskrat and God, what was another one? And Cocaine Bear Part 2 would be like a Cocaine Polar Bear.
Maybe Cocaine Grizzly. Grizzly, yeah.
Ultimately confused with the Snow and the Snow. So
there you go. Steven is giving us a little thumbs up on how good the cameras and stuff look. You can definitely tell how bald I am now. Like it's much more evident. Like I know. Usually I'm pretty further away. Like Mike and I look like we're brothers. We're divided by a country border, and other than that, we look like we could totally be related.
There we go. Right.
And then so Cocaine Bear is kind of like on the table, but it's like one of those at some point. Like it's just one of those things at some point. I literally. I actually had to kind of like make lists, Mike, to keep up with all of the suggestions. I can understand why big YouTubers like have a small world. Like I've been kind of critical at times of some of them, and I realize you kind of have to keep it small to make it manageable, because if you open the gate at all, it's like a floodgate. And I'm not trying to complain, because it's super cool to have people even remotely care what I would have to say. But when it's not your full-time job, it's like it's like, how am I going to manage all this? Holy crap, this is crazy.
I know, right?
Yeah.
No, and that's why I'm trying to keep it small myself, right? It's just, do a live stream on Tuesday and put out a video on Thursday. And because I got to work on the weekend and work managing this store right here on top of that. So, you gotta kind of weigh your options on how much you can do, because otherwise it just becomes overwhelming. So yeah.
So what are you watching? What else is like, what's actually in the bucket that you're regularly actually digesting on?
Let's see. Well, I've been going through Picard season 3.
Oh, okay. You're on your own.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah. And last night watched The Whale with Brendan Fraser.
Okay. Yeah, that's at the top of my to-do list. I actually thought I could get to it today, but I got called away to do some other stuff and couldn't get back to it. I hear it's like his performance is amazing, is what I hear.
It is.
And that's okay. Yeah. Okay.
So other than that, working on a secret project. I can't say for who, but I'm hoping to get this done as soon as possible. And let's just put it this way, it involves animation, and I have never animated before in my entire life. But so far so good. I got probably out of I'm trying to do one solid, I think, minute of animation, which generally at 12 frames per minute, because it has to be a certain style of animation, like the Funimation. No, not Funimation. Filmation animation that skimped out on a lot of their animations back in the 70s and 80s. Instead of the normal 24 frames per second, they went 12. Sure. So I'm trying to keep that aesthetic of, cheapish frame animation, which is what the client wants. And it's going to be interesting. I never thought I would do animation before in my life, because I wanted to get back into drawing comics again. And this person hit me up. It's like, I want to do this animation here for somebody. I want you to do it. Can you do it? And I'm thinking in my head back in September. Well, hey, what's animation but just basically a series of drawings put together, which essentially it is, right? Oh my God, it's so much work.
My son is in animation, and he tells a story, so I definitely empathize with the amount of work that people put in for that kind of job. It's crazy. It's crazy. God. And I assume Stephen Ransom is referring to your watching of Picard. I assume this is what this is. So
yeah,
I don't know for sure.
But
and I assume this is about Cocaine Bear.
More than likely, yes.
Yeah,
because Elizabeth Banks. Yeah. Oh yeah, because this is Ray Liotta's last film as well.
Yeah. She always blames other people. She has never been responsible for anything of her own, and I believe it's a case of nepotism with her even to get to her level. Like it's like a boyfriend or a husband who owns the company that did. It's that kind of stuff with her. So I even have more sort of like animosity towards pushing back against someone like that, because it's just I don't have it in me. So have you taken in any? I need to do a little review on Last of Us. Have you watched any of that?
No, you know what? I haven't watched any of it.
Okay, we'll table
quite
that
frankly.
then.
Because some of it was actually filmed not too far from where I'm at here, and they're going to be doing a season 2, obviously. So what I'm going to try to do is get on set, as an extra or whatever, and do a little bit of snooping, as it were, and find out what's going on with there, because I know there's some news that have been put out there about some of the actresses, the young actresses that are voicing their opinions about certain things. Let's put it that way. So might as well try to be the fly on the proverbial wall and see what's going on. Should they film here in Alberta for season 2?
Very cool.
Yeah.
Steven is throwing you some love with your animation stuff, and also tying it back around to a nice callback to Mandalorian, saying, go with the flow, Mike. You asked for a path to your art roots. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way. Good job, Stephen Ransom. Good job, Stephen Ransom. Let's see if I can play a graphic. Well, let us play a clip. I don't know. We'll see. This is one of the I think that's a Spawn clip. Okay, I'll explain. So compared to StreamYard on Restream, your video clip icons are in rows across. What it makes them like this little itty bitty spot. They're the size of my pinky nail, and this little they're just like next to each other. So I can see, and I can easily see, like one of them, it doesn't even show you. I guess I need to edit it because the first frame is completely red. So I have no idea what that video is. There's no name for it. It's just like a complete red box. So don't know what that one is. So there is a learning curve with this.
Push the button.
Like,
push it.
What happens?
See what it does.
It's probably the Marvel. We'll start it and see. It's probably the Pops Marvel pages flipping. Let's see what it does.
Right. Yeah, and now we know the rest of the story.
Yeah, that's the Eric July song that he has banded over the Pops flipping to the pages, the Marvel pages. So nice. It's all pictures of me and the grandkids and all sorts of shenanigans. So I need to have another one made, so we're up to date. But that'd be kind of cool. So
I remember watching Spawn on VHS when that came out on HBO. Wow.
Well, I've been redoing. I am waist deep in Spawnverse. Don't even know if that's the proper term for it.
I know.
Wakazashi's Tea House has turned me on to Gunslinger Spawn. I'm having a blast. I got to do another video. King Spawn, I'm enjoying that. And I've actually gone back and I don't think I've ever read all of it, but I want to do a video. I want to include one of these issues in something I'm doing. I went back and I'm reading the Bendis, Sam and Twitch. Do you remember Sam and Twitch?
Oh, I remember Sam and Twitch.
I love Sam and Twitch. I think Sam and Twitch is freaking great. And they were picked up for a show twice. It's never happened. So I'm going to make a video just on that. And that way I can kind of also talk about the comic books. Spoiler alert, if you want a good fun read, man, just jump in the Spawnverse stuff because, man, it's a lot of fun. So I'm enjoying that a lot. So that's why I made the little clip. I like to have clips that are at least tied to things if I can find a way to make it. So that one actually is an amalgam of 3 or 4 different things from there's one little clip obviously of me as Spawn in the movie, and then there's the HBO pieces, and then it's Right Hand Red, I think is the name of the song. It's the Nick Cave song. It's the one they used for Peaky Blinders. So you did a little edit, little tweak there, and you can keep it short and get away through the copyright for now. We'll see till they flag it.
Yeah, because I've seen a couple of videos a while back, talking about Gunslinger Spawn, the first few issues and whatnot. And dang, that art looks really good. It's been a long time since I read Spawn. Yeah,
King Spawn is amazing. That's Javi Fernandez art, and I was not familiar with Javi Fernandez at all, and it is amazing. There's like great callbacks to like the OG stuff, like Spawn number. So the first character they bring in is from like Spawn 5, the first, it's an antagonist basically. So they go all the way back to the beginning. And by the way, they make footnotes like editors used to actually do in comic books. So those of us who don't know it by heart could find the things. It's been like 27 years since I've read that book. So I needed the help for me to go find out where Overkill was from and where. Yeah, thank you. But McFarlane is writing Gunslinger Spawn with Brian Booth, and Brian Booth is bringing the art. Holy crap! That's why so many people love Gunslinger Spawn. He's not only fun and cool, but I'm actually way behind everybody else. If you're listening to Wakazashi Tea House and these folks, they're on more like what's actually happening right now. I'm way behind. So my videos will be like, my next video will be issues 5 to whenever that story arc kind of has a nice break in it, and then I'll do a video, and then I'll because I just kind of keep rotating and record videos. Okay.
Because I think they're up to issue
17
now?
I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think they've got the pre-orders for in the 20s, but I think that they're on 17 or 18.
Oh wow.
That's actually dropped. But I'm almost a year behind, but it is a blast, and it is very connected. It's definitely connected. And I'm not even reading all of them because I guess the main Spawn title and the medieval Spawn and Scorched, and I can't handle that much. I can't, I got to read other stuff. So yeah.
So much to read, so little time.
Yeah. So, and then Chris is saying, Yes, boy. Yeah, they're all chiming in with stuff. Yeah,
Spawn!
I'm loving it. Knowing it's half the battle. Yeah, well, let's see. And how many dark anti-heroes are there in comics? Pretty much all of them.
All
And
of them.
I don't know about Steven. I know you, Mike, but I have always loved the darker, edgier stuff. Batman was my jam, but I would rather read Crow and Spawn and stuff like that than Superman. I just didn't get into. Like, there are Superman stories I love and I enjoy, but that was not my thing. Like, it just
Not your bag.
wasn't. I mean, Death of Superman was fine. I enjoyed pieces of that stuff. It's fun adventure stuff, but he's too invincible. Like, it just something. It usually fizzled out on me. Yeah.
I think I recently read what was it, the last Shadowhawk story. And boy, I got to catch up on that because like I've been out of the loop with Image Comics for such a long time. So the last Shadowhawk story, I read that like a couple of weeks ago, and then DC, I found out, starting to put out the Wildcats again. And so I think I caught up on the first 5 issues of that, and man, it's not the same Wildcats. Not really.
Jim has allowed them to saturate a lot of this stuff. It's hard to handle. I looked at it and didn't read it. I'm really having a hard time with the DC side of it because it's just, even when they did Batman, I jumped back in on Batman at 130 and it was good for about 3 to 4 issues, and then it became absurd, and then they didn't stick the landing, and they changed an artist to something that was so radically different that I'm like totally disconnected. So now I'm completely out until the story arc ends. When the story arc ends, I'll probably read it and then do a video and show everyone, well, this is what Jorge Jimenez was doing. And then you turn the page and this is kind of what it looks like. And Pops' brain just goes,
I hate it when they do that. God, I hate it with a passion.
And to Batman, not like Booster Gold or something. It's the main book that sells thousands of copies still. Yeah. Radical changes like that. So I put the link back out there. Matt, I see you in the chat there. One of the members here, always been a supporter, Matt. If you want to pop in, and we can talk comic books, obviously.
Hey, Matt.
But at some point, get back into talking about some of that kind of stuff. So yeah, no, it's cool, man. I'm glad that you're finding stuff to read and enjoy, though, because what you kind of have to do, you should do some videos like I do, like just talk about what you like reading, because I think that's what people want to. They want to know what to do.
I mean, on occasion, because I'll switch it back and forth from, like, say, a movie or a TV show or just comics, right? I mean, I'll just try to cover whatever I can cover. And, a lot of people are focusing on a lot of the big news that's out there, whether it's like Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever. But there was a really handy piece of advice that you gave like a few months ago. It's all these little stories that seem to, slip through the grating that nobody hears about. And I thought, you know what? No, that makes complete sense, because it's those smaller little news articles that everybody else misses that that has an effect on the bigger picture of things.
Yeah,
the way I see it.
And it'll be a story when it's a story, but that may be years from now. Well, I don't know when it will be, that kind of thing, right? So I'm going to try to pull up another story, share. We'll see how my sharing and buffering goes here in a minute, because I have one of those breaking news stories that we'll do a clip out of this here in a minute if I can get it to open. Again, computer problems for those of you keeping track at home. Matt is pointing out that Wildcats has not been the same since the 90s. I got to be honest, I didn't even last that long in the 90s. It is bad. It's one of those things where I just didn't last very, very long. And I will say, people do love Wildcats. I have a Chromium card set, and I was missing like 4 or 5 cards. So I just went and posted some of them on eBay to just move them on. And so people are buying those cards. So I thought about, re-upping and reinvesting into sets of those or something like that at some point, maybe. But
this is,
and
no, I can't really, because I got the switcher on.
You say his name, you get him in this.
Yo,
how you doing, buddy? What's going on?
Yo, man. Yeah, I think it was like one of the biggest mistakes that Jim Lee ever
What happens
made.
if I do this? What happens? I'm just trying some of the different settings. Look at this one. Well, look at that one. That one's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. I don't know about that one. So
I'm looking at that.
All right, I'm going to try to share this other screen here. Matt, tell me what's going on, man. You talk.
This is an opportunity to take a break from the drudgery of work. So, you can only do so many reports and databases before you want to, But But you're talking about Wildcats. That's what. I remember when all that Image and another mostly Image started in the '90s. It was all interesting. A lot of great artwork. Obviously, because those guys are artists, not writers, and it seemed like right after the initial surge, like the Authority, Wildcats, Spawn, Savage Dragon, who am I missing? Supreme, right?
Yeah.
All of them except for Spawn and Supreme became horrible. Supreme only worked because Alan Moore took it over and had a really great run on it. But, and then Spawn stayed interesting on and off for the last couple of decades. Although I thought when he became God King Spawn or whatever it was way over the top. So you had, but Wildcats just became like the same thing with DC and the superhero team, just rebooting them over and over again. They became a self caricature, and the Authority. It's like the initial Authority was pretty cool. It was a sort of the take, because that's like Warren Ellis's baby, so to speak. But then his tendency to destroy everything with later incarnations of it, But I don't know if that's the truth of comics in general. That unless there's some sort of hard standard, like Batman's always got to be this way, Superman's always got to be this way, and whatever. Spawn's always got to be this way, Unless there's a hard authorial control over it, are they all going to go that way, where they just become self caricatures after a while?
Probably.
I mean, it's just sad,
It is. Yeah, I think it was like one of the biggest mistakes Jim Lee did is selling Wildstorm Studios to DC.
Yeah.
Horrible. The biggest mistake ever. Because I really did enjoy the comic. And then they, started, I don't know what, around maybe issue 30 or something like that, maybe a little bit earlier or something, when they got a different writer in. I forget exactly who, but started to make these little changes here and there and everywhere. And it's like, no, just leave it, build on the original character first, make a solid universe out of that first, and then, make this B team a thing, which they tried to do.
Well,
and
even though
to me, it just wrecked it.
Well, even though the comic industry did collapse after the 1990s, sort of, with all the stuff, I think Image itself stayed relatively strong. So when Jim Lee sold out, I always wondered, why, why did he do it? So it had to be. Did he really need money or something? Was he going through a divorce? I mean, something had to happen. He needed the money.
I know, because I remember a quote him saying that he felt that it was a better fit. Like his studio, his characters were a better fit in the DC universe. And, things were a little tight right then. And so apparently they got along and he sold it to DC.
I wonder if you
I just found it extremely, I found it extremely awkward whenever I was reading Flashpoint. I had this issue to matter in this one thing, but like the other Wildcats really don't matter. It's just about Grifter. And you're kind of like, this is just odd to me. Like, okay, I mean, I guess he's like Flashpoint proof, but everyone else, maybe not. I'm not sure. So, yeah. Steven was calling out my CPU issue. It was not letting me share the screen. So we backed off that before I blipped or blew something up. That's for sure. So yeah, we backed away from that experience. As you
are you dealing with the low power PC? Or
and Zach's is here. Oh, I'm going to get a new computer. We've been talking extensively about doing this. It's just been one of those, got to find the right thing at the right price at the right time. Not just some things that, how it is. And Matt, it's always not the best time.
I know.
It's not a horrible time. It's just not a good time. You know what I mean? It's just one of those situations. Yeah.
Well, what was the old quote? It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Well, right now, it's the worst of times. It's getting worser of times. It was a lot of Pops was offering up her computer to try it to see if it would work a little better. I've been texting, blowing up my son and Stone Loki with questions on, do I need this? Do I need this? Do I need that? Whatever, balancing costs with different things. So
we've all angered the karma gods, and this is our punishment.
Well, I do this for a living, IT. So if you need any advice or whatever, just reach out. I help Roman get a new setup over there. So.
Well, what I need is I need like the gamer who's going to make a major upgrade, and they don't need their other laptop, which is far superior to mine. They go, listen, for this price, you can have it, Pops. And I'll be like,
yeah,
no problem.
Yeah,
This episode of Pops has been brought to you by the gaming site such and such. It's literally that kind of situation. But no, I listen, man, I appreciate all the support and whatever, and I'll keep that in mind because I definitely am not.
I will give you my tip to get free, powerful hardware. Okay. While you're driving around on garbage days, pay attention to what people throw out. People often throw out a $3,000 or like insanely good computer because they don't know how to fix the power supply, or because the video card broke, but everything else works fine.
Right.
It is worth your money if you're even remotely capable of swapping a video card or power supply. Every time you see a computer in the garbage, grab it and check it out.
Yeah.
I know a person who literally got back then it was an Alienware, like a $6,000 spec computer.
Oh my God.
Free, and the only thing wrong with it was the CPU was loose.
Okay, well that's noted. I can definitely stop the old purple Pops car on the side of the road and jump out and grab something. I have no shame in that regard. My wife and I are already tracking down like pallets and recycling and refurbishing pallets for the farm's infrastructure. So the entire male pig house is built out of pallets, and it's stronger than most. Yeah.
It's a new segment for you, Pops on dumpster diving.
Yeah.
Maybe it could. I have no shame. It sounds like it's short. It sounds like a YouTube short.
That's actually a whole subset of videos on YouTube. Career dumpster divers. They pull hundreds of dollars like video games and CDs and stuff out of dumpsters because these companies just throw them away. Like let's say you're a video game store, not that around anymore, but and you had 10 more copies of a game, they would just scratch this, like put an X on the box and toss them in the dumpster, but the disc is still in there.
Yeah, those are write-offs. Yeah. Well, and again, I'm sure you guys know the famous comic book lore. Like back in the day, all that original stuff that was happening at Marvel in New York, that art never got shipped back. A lot of that art just ended up in a dumpster, and it was like it's just a painful to hear some of those stories. You have to catch some of these interviews from like 10 years ago and stuff. You catch these interviews, and you're like, oh my gosh, the thought of the amount of art. And I got to be honest, even when I was doing comic shows back in the early 2000s, you'd go to tables and for $60 to $100, you'd be shocked at what you could have bought back then. It's crazy. Yeah. And I was actually looking at the ad because I have I don't know if you got to catch it, Matt. I went to Ollie's and I had one of those little plastic bag where they do those resale things.
Right.
And they had an X-Men #1 in there and an X-Men #2 on the back. So I just thought for $5, I'll just buy one, right? And they were best stuff. Like one of them had like water damage, and one of them had like this major fold. Or I don't care. So my wife's working on an art project for me with them. Yeah. So I started looking at the ad. You know how back in the day you could order comics online. You'd have to call them up on the phone and order these comics. This guy had like an Amazing Spider-Man #1. Amazing Fantasy 15 for like $9,000. It was, it's like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. Like this thing could have been like bent in half in the mail, and it would be worth more than $9,000 today.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, like those books, that level of book, like a grade of like 0.5 is still like thousands of dollars because they don't exist. Yeah,
there's like 10 of them or whatever.
I
told you last time. I told someone last time. My grandma bought like the first couple hundred issues of Action Comics and Superman, and her mother just kept throwing them away. Literally, like if her mother had thrown them away by 1972 when I was born, she would have every issue of Action Comics and Superman. She would have been, and then when her mother died, she would show her the price. Said, "Mom, if you hadn't thrown these away, we'd be millionaires right now." This is the 60s. And that's before the prices shot up. Like
Steven, it's funny. So on that note, Steven, which is funny, and Mike might be able to give me some input here. I'm trying to convince Mrs. Pops to because we have another channel. It's like the family channel, you know what I mean? Like the family videos and some of the farm videos. It's not really private, but I've never talked about it. Like you kind of have to know some of the innards to figure out how to go get it. And I keep trying to tell her, we'll just throw the videos up on there and just see what happens. And if we
Sure.
ever actually had internet at the farm, which hopefully should never happen, since that's one of the reasons we bought this property, was that you can't even get cell signal there unless you have one company. Was just start streaming from the farm. Like you've seen these crazy chicken people where they have like to feed the chicken, donate like super chats for chicken feed, and all these crazy things happen. It's like,
what's Tim Pool's Chicken City or whatever?
yeah, he's like a Chicken City, right? Yeah.
On the old YouTube, before YouTube banned it, there was a dude who put a camera in front of his fish tank and just live streamed 24 hours a day. And
I heard about that.
Supposedly he made $100,000 a year on that. Just put that.
Wow.
Well, I found a guy who streams rain 24/7. And I thought to myself, because that's how I can fall asleep sometimes when I'm having difficulty falling asleep, I'll just put the earbuds in, I'll listen to rain. And I thought to myself, it kind of sounds like the farm. Like when I'm at my farm, if I go in the back during when it's raining where the pond is, it kind of sounds like that. And I thought, I could record that and put it on a loop and just make a channel and do. This guy actually has like 16 variations. Everything runs 24/7. He has like millions of views. Like it's insane. It's this massive business. There's no ads. He actually, like, for $1.99 is like the join. And but imagine statistically just having millions of views like that. I mean, and there's no work. It probably just runs on a loop. Yeah.
Probably.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. The best way to avoid stress is work is not going to work and doing something like this.
Well,
people might pay to watch the daily life of your peahens. Maybe.
I watch a lot of those homesteader channels. You know, I wish I was healthy enough to do that, you know, to just get out of the city. But they're very fascinating and entertaining. These people just going about their lives, filming what they do, you know, like Northern Seclusion. He's been running that channel for like years, and his other channel, his sister channel, been running since his son was a kid, Joe and Jack Survival. Lumber Acres up in Maine, a couple others like that. They just running for like a decade in some cases. They just do their regular life and they record it, and they have like a million followers and whatever. And you know,
if I had someone that could film or at least try to tweak some of the editing part, because that's the worst part, you know, as you guys know, like the worst part is all like the back end stuff. Talking to you guys is the fun part. Having to download this and put it in the editing software and tweak it. Clean it up at least enough to feel like you're at least proud enough of it that you're not embarrassed by it. Put it back out there, whatever that may be. That's the hardest part. She sent me a video today where all the birds had surrounded her. They're waiting for their scratch. Scratch is basically like they're the birds. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out if I can download it.
It's like a live action horror movie about to happen.
And I could send it to Mike. And he could share it. But no, it's like they're waiting. So Scratch is just the amalgam box. I think they're all these are the ones that are on the grass, so they're just eating bugs and whatever. They're super healthy, but you give them like a little bit of stuff just to make sure they get some nutrients, and they can't wait to get it. So the one chicken jumps out all the time. She comes over. You have the guinea fowl, who are these loud little turkey guys. They're terrible. The ducks are there. Everyone's surrounding her, waiting for her to drop this little thing of Scratch.
Oh man. It's like Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds Part 2.
A little bit. I told her that's how they get.
It actually was Part 3 because there was a Birds Part 2. It's a USA horror movie.
Oh, was it really?
I don't remember that.
2006 or so. It was supposedly based on the actual short story. I didn't think it was that close to the story, but it wasn't schlocky like a lot of like made for video horror movies are. It just wasn't good, you know.
Meh. Like
I sent it to you. I sent it to you, Mike, on Twitter. I don't know if you can share it or not. And that'd be good for us to try that. Well, that'd be good for us to try that on Restream. Is how the sharing would work. So, this is a picture of the birds at the farm with Mrs. Pops.
All right.
It's literally just a couple seconds.
Okay. Let's see if there's a way I can share that. Because I'm not familiar with Restream, but I'm willing to.
Right next to the camera icon bottom.
There we go.
The third one over.
There we go. And share. And it's probably showing right now. So I will expand on there. There we go. There we go. You can see
You
the
can see the one
bloodlust in
chicken.
her eyes.
There's the one chicken in the back. We call her Snowflake. She jumps up on the fence and gets out. Yeah, that one right there.
Yeah.
And those gray ones are the guinea fowl. They're so loud and crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Cool. Yeah, Steven Ransom, listen, if we had like the better infrastructure of like, and again, this was just like, the plan to move, because I tell people we didn't move to the country, move to the woods. This was kind of by design. But in hindsight, you're right. If there was a way to add some of that infrastructure to do that, we probably will figure something out, especially because we also have like donkeys and goats and stuff like that people would be like, man, it's fascinating. I didn't know people do that. So, yeah. So. Anyway, so let's go back to fun stuff and talk about comics with someone like Matt, because Matt actually knows comic books. He makes me feel like I have some work to do.
Here's a segue for you. Animal comics like Captain Carrot, I didn't remember that.
Yes.
Or Peter Porker Spider-Ham. Yeah, I was looking through some of my old animal comics the other day. And that's another thing where they've screwed the pooch or whatever that phrase is.
Yeah, screwed the pooch.
Yeah, these would be great kid comics and could do some interesting satirical stories with these characters, and nothing, just nothing.
I don't even know if they did anything with Spider-Ham or not. With the movie, you would think that Marvel would have tried to like piggyback off because I mean, obviously the Spider-Verse thing, the Spider-Ham was kind of like one of the biggest things that came out of it. It seemed like you could have done this massive Spider-Ham.
More popular than some mainstream heroes.
Yeah. And man, as fast as it popped in my head, it left. I was thinking about another one that's kind of like that too. So I don't know. It'll come back up to me in a minute.
But I say that because of what's his face's movie is an animal superhero movie, isn't it? Peter Gunn. The first movie he's doing is some sort of animal-based.
Oh, James Gunn is doing Creature Commandos. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I did a little video on that, Matt. It's very primitive, but it was a way to like point back to weird war tales and where they kind of came from, and then the reboot and. I just kind of touched on it a little bit. I actually I don't know how to feel about it because I think it has it. Here's what I think. It'll probably be that if you like Peacemaker or not. It's kind of like in that category. It's not bad, but it's not going to be great. But it could be great, except that it's animated. So it's kind of like I was shocked that they were going that route, but that's because they're trying to do something that they probably already had in the works. Yeah. And it's fast and they got to get something like that going. Yeah, I did a little video on that to try to promote.
Sorry.
No, go.
No, plus the odd thing, it's going to be part of this whole new DCU.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the animated plus live action TV show plus live action movie. So it's
that's what they should have been doing all along, don't you think? I mean, I think that would have been a great way to do it.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, but it's like, how is that going to translate? Like, say, Creature Commandos, which is going to be animated. How is that going to translate well onto live screen?
Well, I think it would be great live screen more than animated. Like, I think animated actually kind of dumbs it down. I thought the art looked very generic compared to the comic books. Basically, it's nothing more than like Monster Squad meets Suicide Squad, right? So you have a Frankenstein, you have a Dracula, a werewolf, Bogman. They've added the Weasel to the mix, Dr. Phosphorus, things like that. So I was like, oh, okay, it's like Universal Monsters Suicide Squad. And it seemed like it was very easy to write, like it writes itself kind of thing. So I don't know. Yeah.
It's going to be
I don't understand what DC. I thought they were getting it right finally before they brought James Gunn into this. When Jazz was saying simple, we're going to do simple. We're going to have a Superman movie, a Batman movie, a Wonder Woman movie, and that's it. We're not going to make it overcomplicated. That's what he said in the media. And now we're off into the toilet bowl, so to speak, of characters that most mainstream fans don't care about. Or pushing movies like this Flashpoint movie, which from an actor people can't stand, with characters that are not important to anything going forward. No one cares about this version of Supergirl because there's not going to be any movies after that, and it's a bad version to begin with. If Michael Keaton lives to do Flash 2, he's 70 now. I mean,
something like that.
Yeah, it's like in pro wrestling when you bring back a guy like Ric Flair is 70 and retired for 30 years rather than push new young talent. I don't understand if they want to make money, but maybe Zallo is just doing this because his ultimate plan is to farm it all out and just make money off of the rights, and saying, okay, but we got to show the investors we're doing something. And Gunn, we'll do a little film first. And you're thinking if it fails, then we just cancel the rest, no problem.
Yeah.
That's the only time
they probably. So my theory is with like Henry Cavill, for instance, because I am live on stream with Zach's channel, my reaction of going, no, they're not doing this. So, like, I couldn't believe.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, as I've looked at the direction they want to go, there probably is an NDA that they can't talk about it, but there's probably some big contract boosts and things like that financially that are in there. That's why they went cheap. I also think there's egos. Like, they have massive head swelling ego issues with Peter Safran and James Gunn. I just think it's just massive, head swelling egos type things. I'm with you, Matt, though. I don't understand. Like, we could be in the room for an hour, Matt, and we could pitch 5 or 6 projects that will make them back in the game.
Yeah.
Right. There's no reason that you couldn't have a world's finest film that you could bring in young talent. You could easily transition from the big 3 that you have into some younger talent for another film project, set up a Teen Titans, set up something else that would work. Yeah. There's no reason to not have. Let's assume we're stuck with Flashpoint, Matt. Why couldn't we have had that set up some sort of Batman Beyond with Keaton? Like that it could have been an easy thing with Pattinson. It could have been an easy thing for them to throw out some sort of scenario. It really is not even that complicated to come up with some twists on stories that are already great.
Well, I mean, they can. They're just going to say it's Elseworlds. It's an Elseworlds film or an Elseworlds show or something like that.
I mean, as much as I want to see Justice League, a real Justice League film, I'd be happy if I never got it and just saw an Elseworlds Superman. I mean, I'm not saying just because I love Superman, okay? But I mean, you want the crossovers; they're big when they happen, but you can't force it. Here's a dirty little secret, okay? Warner has not only one, but 2 actors who play a damn good Superman, in Cavill and the guy on that Superman and Lois TV show, Tyler Hoagland, right now. That TV show is probably, I mean, in ranking the Superman TV shows, it's just become better than Lois and Clark, and it's edging, in my opinion, somewhere around the George Reeves Superman show. And I mean, the best one is the original Kirk Allen serial. So if you go back and watch that, he's the first guy to put Superman on screen. I'm a Superman weeb. I admit it, but it's a really good TV show with actors who are doing a really good job. Yeah, it's a little bit of woke in it, but it's not overly woke, And Warner it's like they're double shooting themselves in the foot. And who's going to pick to play Superman? It's probably going to be some sort of I hate to say it this way, some 5'2" effeminate person who could be any gender, and
yeah, I think it's a baby out with the bathwater situation as far as how they want to try to do all this. It's just like there's a lot of just casualties with these decisions, and until we know how things play out, it's a little hard to tell. I think my next video that I want to do with that gun reaction thing, Matt, will probably be to talk about All-Star Superman, which we both love.
Yeah.
That was at least alluded to with the Superman project. So I at least have some hope. Like, there is good material in there. Mike, I don't know if you've ever read that or not. All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison and Frank Whiteley.
A little bit. Yep.
Really good little miniseries.
It is good.
Really good miniseries. That's the one they at least allude to as source material for it. So
yeah.
I'm real happy about that.
They could have even thrown in Legion of Superheroes in there. Mm-hmm. The Legion. Yeah. And that would have been very interesting because you got a whole roster of characters to pick from there. And I know it's in the future of the DC universe, but you could have tied that in there too somehow.
If I were a billionaire, I literally would have went to Savile as soon as he got it and said, "Look, man, I'll just let me make 2 Superman films."
Yeah.
Also, Superman Part 1 and 2 with Henry Cavill. I'll fund the entire thing myself, no questions asked, because I know I'll make money. I'll hire the right people to do this. I'll get Grant Morrison on the writing team. I'll get a good script writer for the movies. I mean, Richard Donner is he even alive anymore? But someone of his, someone who gets how to show Superman on screen, how to show action on screen, and and to show epic on screen. That's Richard Donner. There's a lot of work. He didn't just do Superman the movie. He did many other things. You get the right people. It's not complicated, but they make it so complicated because what did someone say?
But I think what's insane is part of the problem, right? You know that part of the problem is about rights, like the money and the control and all that is part of the equation that we're not factoring into all this. Because I think the real solution would have been, that's why I'm not allowed to be rich either, Matt, because I would have just taken CW off their hands. I would have taken CW off their hands, and we would have figured out a way to make some phone calls to people like Mr. Beast, like, hey, I need some programming material, and you seem like you are an expert at entertaining people. So let's talk about some ideas. And they're just so dumb that they can't figure this out. It makes my head hurt. And Zax is also saying that loves Superman. I watched most of season 1. I don't remember why I got my viewing schedule interrupted. When I have the right sort of like time frame, I'm going to go back and maybe do a rewatch and maybe even do videos on that. Roman commented, I will Roman that and again, anyone else in chat, if I'm missing some of your tweets, I'm noticing that from time to time, Restream is not showing me.
Yeah,
wait, Roman,
all those comments.
The DC animated also Superman is utterly horrible. Don't read it.
Yeah, don't watch the animated cartoon. Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah, that's what he says. But don't watch the animated feature. Not good.
Yeah. Okay, so let me get to one of the big casting things, because they did it. I actually didn't even know for sure this was still going, but evidently today, Gotham Knights, they did announce that Hellraiser, Mr. Pinhead himself, Doug Bradley, has been cast as Joe Chill. I thought it was very strange, because I thought the whole premise of Gotham Knights centered around them.
Isn't that the show where teenage Batman teams up with teenage villains or something like that? Or am I thinking of a different show?
Odd.
Yeah, I thought that Gotham Knights was going to be, their show was going to be more about the world without all that. Like, it was going to be like, there's no Batman, Superman. There was like there's like the kids are in charge of running the city, Gotham or something. It's one of these holdover shows that they're keeping for some reason. And I think it maybe, I don't know. But for them to add Joe Chill, I thought this was, I don't know. I don't know what's happening over there. That was going to be one of my topics. Is like, okay, first off, kudos to Doug Bradley for getting the gig. Mr. Pinhead needs to make some bank. Let's pay some bills. Let's get him into some more Comic-Con. Apparently, we got to do.
Apparently, this show is, here's the premise. In the wake of Bruce Wayne's death, his adopted son, Turner Haynes, forged an unlikely alliance with the children of Batman's enemies. Haynes works with these children when their parents are all framed for the murder of Bruce and attempt to clear their names.
Yeah.
That sounds completely stupid.
Yeah.
Boring.
Well, it's also a whole bunch of characters that nobody knows. So it's like he said, it's the offspring of these villains and stuff like that. It's just all these characters that nobody knows. Nobody knows. So I don't know. Well, kudos to Doug Bradley for getting a gig. But yeah, I'm with Zach. It looks awful. It's about the kids. It's that kind of thing. I don't know. Is that a hate watch for you, Mike? You think you could throw down some?
Probably not.
What was the name of Robin in Dark Knight Returns? The girl Robin, was it Carrie? Was it the character Carrie something or other?
Yes.
Remember the female? Well, that's the Robin that's in this show. Carrie Kelly / Robin.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I feel like wanting to stomach through another DC show, especially after Batwoman. That just still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and I still haven't even. Yeah, like for example, Flash on CW. I used to watch that. It was a pretty good show, right? But I mean, after what? Let's see, getting into season 5 and then 6, and I haven't even finished 7. It just turned into the Irish show, and it just started going downhill.
I didn't make it out of season 3. Once we got to season 3, that's when I checked out. They lost it. So the season 1 of Flash was beautiful, right? It was that like almost episodic TV. It was almost like reading comic books. Like it was a different villain. Sometimes it'd be a 2-parter, but it was like it was so perfectly done. I really liked season 1. And it seems like the further we get, it's like, oh, we're going to spend the whole season with this big bad. We're never going to get to anything. It's just everything is strung out. And I just couldn't justify making Mrs. Pops watch it anymore. We just weren't enjoying it.
Yeah,
so
it just got boring.
I would say that's what I think happened to me. I'm still going to finish the Flash because just to see the whole thing, and because even in the boring / bad seasons. There's also some great episodes, like the one with the flash time episode. I don't know if you guys ever watched that one, where the nuclear bomb is going off and all the species are moving so fast that the explosion is moving like a nanometer at a time. So trying to figure out how they could save everyone from this nuclear explosion in flash time. That was a pretty good episode, even if the whole season storyline was stupid, you know. So it's I'm disappointed in the CW. So they started out with such potential, you know. I mean, Arrow, the first 5 seasons are pretty solid. Supergirl, I would say the middle of the first season through the first half of the third season were pretty solid. Black Lightning, I think they tricked people with Black Lightning. Like they said, sure, we're going to do a woke show, but I think the writers actually did a parody of a woke show by going back on all the 70s blaxploitation tropes, which in an entertaining way. So it was kind of fun in a way, you know. Arrow, they should have either canceled or reboot Arrow after 5 seasons when that initial 5-season arc was over, right? I said to my cousin, they should just season 6 of Arrow should just be Diggle and Ollie on the road, just to get in a car and drive, leave the whole thing behind them, you know.
Did you guys watch the Titans show?
I watched the first 2 seasons. The one awesome thing about it was who they got to play Bruce Wayne was Ian, guy who played Jorah Mormont on. I'm reviewing his other thing, The Rig, right in front of me. The guy who played Jorah Mormont on Game of Thrones. I'm actually reviewing something, working on it that he's in. I can't remember his last name. Ian.
I know who you're talking about, but I don't remember his name. But yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, you liked him as Bruce Wayne.
Ian Glenn. He played Bruce Wayne. The guy's a great actor. He's way underappreciated. If you go watch other things he does, he was really good.
And I didn't see anything that he had to work with that really made it.
Well, he's only in like
I just
10
think
scenes,
that it was.
You know?
Yeah, I was gonna say he didn't really have any material to work with, really. So.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
And I'm with Zach. I think Robin was great. Like, you know, what's his name? Brendan Thwaites or whatever his name is was fine as Dick Grayson. Thought all that was fine. Most of it was fine. I will be honest. I was really pretty turned off with the vulgarity of it all. Not so much the violence. Like, if we're gonna have a violent show, I'm okay with that. But the vulgarity, to me, when you're going to cuss that much, you're alienating customers that you should want to try to buy your stuff. Like if you want to get kids to get into Titans and you have this massive underbelly of Titans material that's for kids. If you want to kind of make grown-up material or something like that, that's fine. But I don't know. To me, I just thought it was just kind of I just didn't enjoy it nearly as much. And yeah, Zach knew that last name. Go on, Zach. They get the
Ian,
how he feels about the Speed
Ian
Force.
Glenn. Thanks, Zach. But
trust me, Roman, I'm with Matt on that too. Yeah, not a fan. So
I saw the question.
I like this first 2 seasons of Titans. Okay, I like the first 2 seasons. Okay, but it was just very, and like I said, the profanity was just so overdone. It just got carried away. Like you could have made a really good Titan show with it being like PG-13. You can get graphic, you can get violent, you can even curse sometimes. But they just went too far with it. I think it just alienates a lot of people, and it reduces some of the buzz with the kids and their parents and things like that. That's all. It's just okay. I don't know. So,
you're right though. Teen Titans is marketed towards, in general, towards kids and preteens as a product, right? And at the time Titans is out, there's Teen Titans Go and the older Titans, which are not adult-oriented material. Why would you ever expect parents to let their little kid watch this other Teen Titans show with some of the stuff that's happening in it? Not just the vulgarity, the sex and all that, you know?
Yeah. And remember the trailer. The trailer had the Robin doing the F Batman line. Like it was in like the teaser trailer for the episode 1. And I'm like, wait a minute, you just told all the parents to like not let their little 9-year-old watch this show. Like so again, I know I sound very prudish. I can come off as being a prude sometimes with this kind of stuff. I'm not particularly thrilled about sitting through Gotham Knights. Because I got it pulled up on my phone. I was looking at, it's going to be like Colin Rowe and Harper Rowe. And I don't even know how to say Two-Face's daughter's name. Duella Dent?
I have it in front of me. Isn't that the Joker's daughter, Duella?
Duella Dent is Two-Face's daughter.
But I'm on our Wikipedia. It says that she's under the alias of the Joker's daughter from Suicide Squad.
Oh. Maybe they got it. Maybe my news has got it. What the wires crossed. I know Joker's daughter is in it.
She's actually a legacy character, by the way. She's a
she dates back forever. Yeah, I see it. She's Batman family. She dates all the way back.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing the little footage of this, and I just was really turned off. Did not like the look of it. I'm shocked that it didn't get canceled. So that means they had a lot of it already done. So maybe they're doing some material with it, and that's why Doug Bradley got a job. It's like a flashback sequence or something. I don't know.
Well, it depends who funded it. If the person funded it, like remember said, $1 billion, I would do what I would do. Maybe some rich company said, I want to fund this TV show, so that's why they're doing it.
Again, if Peter's name's on it, he may not be letting it go. So I think that's part of this thing too. So yeah, that was news today. I know, Mike, you were talking about trying to find the news stories that nobody knows about. That was one that I don't think anybody's really been talking about. This is a really obscure one for you, Matt, because I didn't know anything about this. The news today is director Johan Renck. He's the creator, one of the co-creators behind Chernobyl.
Okay.
He's adapting the novel of the first multiple planned Amazon miniseries on unknown worlds of science fiction.
Ooh, so an older comic type thing.
It's a John Romita Sr. book. It's like one of those anthology things with like 1 million different writers and artists. It dates back to 1970s. So if you look up Unknown Worlds of Science Fiction #1, this is getting adapted. It's based on the post-apocalyptic novel by John Wyndham, and it's going to center around an aggressive species of killer plants killing a population of humanity blinded by a meteor shower. So a rather complex apocalyptic thing. And I wanted to talk about it briefly because I wanted to tie it in the fact that a whole bunch of stuff Amazon's been doing. They are dumping a ton of money into the system to compete with Netflix. While everyone else is melting down, Amazon is just writing checks.
So this is almost like Dave the Triffids kind of thing, except with a little bit of a spin on it.
Or, The Last of Us, which is popular right now. So
it is the day of the Triffids.
Here's something interesting. I got a cover of a comic book here, which looks like it's. I went to the Wikipedia first, right?
Right.
It's just this is and it happened to have the cover of issue number 6 of this comic book series, and it happens to be covering an adaptation of Michael Moorcock's novella, I should say, "Behold the Man," which is Michael Moorcock's deconstruction of the Bible.
Oh my!
Michael Moorcock is an author who wrote like the Ulrich stories and all. So I just find it funny that knowing it's like Wikipedia knew I would focus in on that because I have that novel. And it's fun. Maybe Google is reading our mind, it's in real time. Sensing we're talking about altering Wikipedia.
The AI got ahead of us. It snuck in the back door. We started reading this other story. So Byford's popping in. I've seen Byford for a minute. Hope you're doing all right, man. Keep in touch.
I'm just gonna go to YouTube, randomly open the YouTube Premium page, and see what pops up in our my recommendations, and see if anything. We're talking about comics from the 50s, and sometimes or anything the recommendations will just include stuff like that. You know what I mean? Out of nowhere. It's literally
it happens to Mrs. Pops all the time.
About.
She freaks out.
Yeah.
Oh, Mrs. Pops freaks out because I've been telling her this since. So we had someone. Okay, this is Pops history, right? Let's go back, right? 2005, right? 2005 to 2009, Bush administration era, right? Hardcore, hard news, politics stuff. In the weeds on the development of the NSA stuff, the Utah data center where they store all of our metadata that they denied having, had copies of all of the, all the stuff that basically came out, years later, we already had documents on, right? It just wasn't not really as much of a leak as they made it into. They just wanted to vilify someone so they wouldn't keep doing it.
Of course.
And we kept saying, listen, because basically they raided some guy's house, held him at AK-47. He's in the shower naked, where they're ripping the hard drive and stuff out of his house because he leaked. Stuff like that was happening. And I'm like, honey, all of the data, and it's just files, it's just information, is going to this place. It was so bad at one point. Mike, I wish you and I could see this because it was so great. The servers melted down. They overheated.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. This, when it was in its infancy and they're trying to figure out how to get this going with this much data. Oh yeah, they would melt.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, from some work I've done over the years and research I've done,
Mhm.
the way there's no official everything is done this way by the U.S. federal government. There are a bunch of different agencies. There's different ways of backing stuff up, right?
Mhm.
Like like there's a law that says how the stock market is backed up. There's a couple of
Yep.
sites around the country where that goes on. There's laws where there's data repository for the military. Because for those who don't know, the National Security Network is by law not allowed to be connected to the internet. There could be no connections. If you're working in a national security job and you have your computer that connects to the private network and your computer that connects to the internet, and if you connect them, you go to jail.
Yeah.
If you put a drive from one to the other, you go to jail. And there's so there's all sorts of like different. You have to read by agency and by law, like how they did. There's no universal like federal government backup vault somewhere.
No, and it's not. You're right, because there's so many different elements to it. And I think this is why I like, and I know, hot take, I like the live and let die, the live and die hard, which is the one with Timothy Oliphant,
Live
right?
free, die, live free and die,
live free and die hard, right? Where it's like a cyber hacking thing, but they move to different locations.
Well, that's from the flag. That's from the old flag, live free or die hard.
Yes.
The what do you call it? Flag, going with the snake.
The one to say, yeah, okay, right. Don't try any kind of stuff, right? So this was a little bit of that taste of how the servers and stuff is not all in one place, and it's not as good. So yeah, I couldn't agree more with how that stuff actually works. So, Steven, you're talking about the M. Night Shyamalan, The Happening, which is freaking, I don't know. I hate that movie so much. My wife loves M. Night Shyamalan, and she even has to admit that movie is terrible. But I don't know I don't know that the Amazon, the Day of the Triffids, is exactly that, but it could be. It could be.
The Day of the Triffids is a novel or a trilogy from, I want to say, the 60s or 70s. Right. The original version done by the BBC was pretty good. It was done in the 80s. I actually tracked it down.
Yeah. I believe it was the 50s when the book came out.
Was it 50s? Yeah.
I believe it was.
The book is almost well designed, so I remember that much.
Well, they optioned this book, so I don't know if Amazon is going to dump a bunch of money into this miniseries, but they've bought a whole bunch of stuff in the last few months. Like the amount of Amazon stuff is kind of gotten crazy. They're into a ton of stuff. So basically, almost everything that's getting optioned is one of them. It's Netflix or it is Amazon. It's Amazon.
Roman, we're talking about Die Hard 4.
Die Hard. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Die Hard 4. Yeah.
Die Hard 5 is the one that was like a joke,
Yeah, Steven's saying that he likes it as well. I appreciate having another brother and it is a bit of a hot take. Most people hate that movie, but I actually don't. I really don't like the Sam Jackson one. I don't like that one, actually.
I liked all of them. I thought there was severe problems with the fifth one.
That's the Russia one, right?
Yeah.
With Jai Courtney. Yeah, that was a mess.
If you just skip all the movie before Bruce Willis gets there, it's 10 times better.
Huh. That makes sense.
You know what? I haven't even seen the third one. I've never seen the third one.
Yeah, I think that's the Sam Jackson one, and I don't think I definitely can't recommend it. I don't care for it.
The second one has a line in my top 10 movie lines of all time. How can the same thing happen to the same man the same day twice?
Yes. Yes. I love that.
That was good.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah, that's so good. It's right.
So it was meta without being meta, It's like
Okay, so I didn't do a review, so I'll do a review of you guys so I can snippet this, count that as my review. So here we go. I've watched Last of Us. I have gamed 0 minutes. I plan on gaming 0 minutes. So no game reference. That's my qualifier for those of you going to come at me with, it's in the game, Pops. It's in the game. I don't care if it's in the game. I'm only telling you about the show because I watched the show. I don't hate the show. I think the show has done very good world building. Like, it looks really good. They've spent some good money. I feel like I am immersed in some sort of post-apocalyptic world where something has devastated humanity. This is how they get by. I also think that the show has been very unevenly paced. It's a lot of start-stop, shoehorned in these subplots. I got it, the whole gay episode of episode number 3, but then there's like this great action in episode number 5, and then it slows back down again. I really couldn't understand why this episode existed. I understand there's this other character named Riley, and we have to have this whole massive Ellie backstory, but it's not really a backstory. I feel like I'm just watching a day in the life of Ellie before all the world turned to crap, and it's just like this is her little lesbian foray in the day in the life of Ellie before everything turned into crap, and it was just like I don't. There is.
Do I
nothing
need to know this?
There was nothing really character changing or growth about Ellie from the before the episode. Like, I mean, she doesn't want to have Joel die.
Yeah.
How did any of this episode help me understand that she doesn't want Joel to die when he's basically been this surrogate father for her on this massive journey this whole time? I didn't need more subtext to any of that. Like it didn't work. Like there's no one in the room because the agenda, the message mattered more to get this out there, in my opinion, than its value to the show. Like it's not, and it wasn't even horrible. I think it is like a nostalgia moment. Like you're going literally through like this mall that's been devastated, and they're like in an arcade and playing Mortal Kombat, and I'm having fun, but it's still not good. It was a terrible episode in the grand scheme of some of the other stuff going on. So, Matt, did you any of The Last of Us? I don't think Mike has. So
I'm watching the 4th episode right now. I'll probably stream through.
Sorry,
I'll probably have all 7 done by Roman's show tomorrow, and we talk about all of them. But you don't have to be your opinion. The showrunner himself said the message is the real thing, and the other stuff is just there to get the message across.
Okay. I didn't know that. Okay, so Roman is saying he hated the mall episode. That's all. I don't want to get too far more. I don't want. I'm not. Trust me, Matt. I'm not ruining anything for you. I'm sorry. This show is not. This show is not mature enough for me to consider that I'm spoiling it.
So I'm not spoiled by anything.
Roman, I'm sorry. I know it's a hot take. It's not that I don't support it. I actually can say I get as the internet hated on the gay episode 3, right, with Bill and Frank, right. My issue with the story was it felt like it was very shoehorned into everything, and to me, because it was already different from the game, why didn't they just take Bill and Frank on the adventure and have it come out later that he's dying from cancer, and then have everyone attached to these two characters, and then when they decide to both self-delete, it devastates all these people that are attached to them.
Because that would be too easy.
Oh, it would have been writing, Mike.
Because
writing.
The audience, according to them, are simpletons. They need everything explained out. So
it wasn't bad. We're just
the dumb schmucks that just have to consume it and shut our mouths.
You're not thinking woke logic there, though. See, in woke logic, the two gay guys are lower on the woke totem pole than the gay teenage girls. So if they came along on the trip, they would detract from the gay teenage girl storyline.
And they were white.
Yeah. Well, they're all.
I think. Okay, so not really a spoiler, but at least a little bit of a spoiler in this episode 6, where they get to this place and there's like a fort. That's all I'll kind of get into it, Matt, in case you don't know too much about what happens to episode 6. If we just got Bill and Frank to there and then they self-delete, that would have been impactful enough. And then it still would have allowed for the gay teenager episode, which we didn't need to have. It's Roman says it right here. It's a 2-minute episode in like an hour. And I cannot believe, I kept checking the time. I couldn't believe this was an hour-long episode. This was insanely boring.
A long time ago, when I learned how to be a dungeon master, game master for RPGs and writing in general, right? One of the earliest lessons I ever learned was if you can put something in a story and then edit it out completely and nothing changes, it shouldn't have been there to begin with, right? Yeah. So go back to that 3rd episode. I literally skimmed my way through the part with the dudes, not because I don't care about their gay storyline, because I had no relevance to actually what occurred, right? So you could literally watch that episode whatever watching the parts with the 2 dudes. And the same thing happened, right? So anytime you see a storyline, not just because they're gay guys or whatever, and this is a modern bad writing take on a lot of stuff nowadays, right? They keep throwing this stuff in and not tying it into the storyline. Going back to Rings of Power, that was something they did all the time in Rings of Power. Leaving aside the woke, leaving aside the crapping over J.R.R. Tolkien's writing, leaving all that aside, the actual writing itself, they would just keep throwing things in there. as exposition or whatever, and have no tie into a storyline.
Yeah.
And this show now, Last of Us, is doing the same thing. That they keep throwing stuff in there that you don't need to know or care about for the storyline to move. And
well, because on top of that, they've admitted that they're not going to follow the original storyline that is actually, the game, right? They're going to be making essentially their own storyline to this, just essentially using the whole Last of
Well,
Us.
they kind of have to if they don't want. I mean,
yes.
Can I spoil the game?
Their
People who
spin
never
on
played
it.
it. I mean,
I don't want to know. I don't want to know anymore. No. I don't want to know anymore than I are. So because I think we're saying the exact same thing, Matt, especially about episode 3, because basically what I'm asking is what you're saying. I'm saying what you did was fine because your point of the story was to show Bill and Frank, and it's the backstory of how certain people could have survived during this period of time when all this was happening. I'm fine with that. Okay, fair enough. But the problem is you made because the self-deletion didn't happen in the game from what I understand. Like that part is what's changed, is all of that part is what's different. And all I'm saying is you easily could have just tied it to what was happening if all 4 of them just left for an episode or 2. That's all. Yeah. That's all. If they just tied it to the adventure that was happening in real time, then it would have been fine. The episode would have actually held some weight. Yeah. And maybe there would have been some information transferred. And I got to be honest, I really hated it. I know it was in the game. I hated the adult magazine in the back seat with the little girl finding it moment. And I'm like, it was so cringy bad to me in the nature of what's happening in society right now. And I'm like, if the 2 of them had come along in that journey and Bill was embarrassed when she found that moment would have been great because you would have still had the gag, but you then would have had a moment to like diffuse it being so awkward. Instead, it was like, look at what I'm looking at kind of moment. And I'm like, that's not cool. Yeah. You're supposed to be like 15 years old. Not cool. No. Yeah. So stuff like that is what the problem is with this show. It's just, I totally get it. I know it's not my woke brain. I'm trying to be as objective and fair as I can to the show because it isn't the worst thing in the world other than when it blatantly rips off Walking Dead. Like there's actually shots in episode 6, I think, that are just like actual ripoffs of Walking Dead. Like AMC needs to call. Maybe Frank Darabont needs to call his lawyer again for another lawsuit, make some more bank. Well, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. It's pretty bad.
The problem there is that I think Walking Dead ripped stuff off too.
Of course they did.
So understand when I say this, I think entirely in pictures. Most people think in words. Like if you ask me, Matt, what did you eat for dinner yesterday? I have to play it back like a videotape in my mind to tell you what I ate, right? I can't put words together. I had pictures, right? So when I'm watching all this stuff, like when I was watching Rings of Prime, I'm like, wait, where did I see those outfits before? So those they stole the Nolan outfits in Rings of Prime from the exact duplicate of what was the Romans wore in Gladiator. The same thing with the crown for Gilgalad. That wasn't an elven crown. It was a Roman crown from Gladiator. And
really,
every time I see stuff now, I'm like, with this modern bad writing and stuff. Bad production. I'm like, my brain's firing off images of stuff I watched years ago. I'm like, I can't remember the name all the time. I'm like, they used that before. Or even when in Obi-Wan, right? Just how bad it is now. Okay, I'm not going to go off on Obi-Wan. I could rant. I'm not going to do it. But when I call Reva, the character from Obi-Wan, Bat Reva, because literally in a whole episode, right? She goes off in episodes and does duplicates of the Batman poses from like Christian Bale's Batman movie, where she's jumping around on the roof and crouching like Batman, and then they're not just like homage, like they're actual duplicates of scenes. If you go back and watch the movies, so it's like someone's saying, I saw this cool movie scene back 16 years ago, like The Crow or Batman or whatever. I'm just gonna rewrite that scene with characters' names in it. That's what they're doing now on mass for all these shows.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that is a very good observation. I did not get about that Reva scene because that Reva scene drove me crazy. I hated that scene. So
I
so Roman about Reva, I hated.
I hated almost every scene in that series.
Roman, I couldn't agree. But this is also like the studio. Like, so I get the fluff. Like, I get this. I actually made a comment to Joker Voice about Wednesday. He was talking about in Wednesday. I don't know if did you guys watch Wednesday? Okay.
No, the Wednesday Addams show. I haven't seen it.
Yeah. So there's an episode because it's really about it's. it's about her, and there's an episode that deals with Morticia and Gomez, and it's the filler episode. He hated that episode. I'm like, oh, it's the filler episode. It didn't exist. And then whenever the studio got it and they wanted some more names, the names need to have some screen time, and so that's why you ended up with this extra episode or whatever. I think, Roman, with this show, it wouldn't shock me if there was some fluff with some of those things where it was originally maybe 6 episodes or 8 episodes, and they kind of keep doing things like that. So, but the writing is just terrible. It's just like what Matt was saying is right. We're saying the same thing, Matt. We were just coming at it from 2 completely different ways.
Yeah, you look at these writers, and they're just, and like, go back to their credits, like what they wrote before these current shows, and it's nothing, or it's like a student movie. They're putting student movies, and like 20 years ago, these writers on these movies and shows wrote like 25 B movies and soap operas for years before they even allowed to touch an A product, you know. And now, like, oh my God, it's just you like, between the woke and the bad writing and the subpar production, right? You're not even giving these properties a chance. And when they do get a budget and a chance, like Halo, for example, had a decent budget, effects were okay, they got the action scenes were okay, right? Not that they were plotted well, but they looked visually like Halo. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Horrible writing, generous. Woke stuff. You know, like, you know what I mean? Even when they do get the production, then they sabotage. Then you see the horrible woke in writing.
Yeah, you're very generous with Halo. I think whatever money they got, they stole, because that movie looked so generic and cheap to me in the background. Like, I hated that show so much. Oh my God, that show me my brain. That broke my brain so much. So, Roman, you're absolutely right. So I think what Roman is saying here with episodes 4 and 5 about Walking Dead stuff too is a lot of what Matt was saying, where it's like, it's the stuff that Walking Dead also stole. So it's like Dawn of the Dead stuff, Day of the Dead stuff. It's like, it's just generic zombie stuff, stolen stuff. But if you watch episode 6, and Matt's going to working moments when they ride a horseback into the city, I wish I could see Matt's reaction. There should be a short, Matt. There should be a short of you filming your reaction of that scene and me going, Walking Dead season 1. You'll be like, holy crap. Not even like a little bit of it. I mean, it is so insane. Like, that was the marketing material for Walking Dead season 1. I couldn't, my brain was like,
God.
I am reasonably sure that Walking Dead scene with the horse comes from another movie like years and years ago. My brain is telling me.
Isn't it Omega Man with Charlton Heston? That scene that they're ripping off? Or what
it could have been. I have to.
That's what my brain keeps going back to.
Yeah, I haven't watched Omega Man since like the late 90s, so I have to go back and put my especially once they come with Will Smith's crappy sequel to his crappy remake of I'll have to go rewatch the 2 good versions of that movie, which is Omega Man and Vincent Price's movie The Last Man on Earth.
The Last Man on Earth, yeah.
But
so this is let's see. This is oh man, keep it concise. Okay. No, this is, I want to get to Riva. Yeah, the Riva thing was it broke me. It broke me bad. Nos is trolling me, so I had to get. That's what I was trying to get to. I kept clicking the wrong one. It doesn't. So yeah, the Restream 101. It doesn't scroll at the same pace that StreamYard does. So therefore, I'm clicking the wrong boxes because I've adapted to the pace. It doesn't work the same way. Remember when Vader dragged Obi-Wan into the? That's super cool. Like, oh my God, Nos, I'm so glad you brought that up because that was amazing. Terrible, freaking awesome. It was awesome. Yes, it was like we agree. Omega Man is also. I should do a rewatch of those 2, like as a throwback Thursday or something like that. Do them both because I don't hate on I Am Legend enough, because I don't like it, but I just don't hate it enough. Like it's like because I can give a movie a 4 or a 5, and I guess most people don't do that, and I can just turn my brain off that. But with the Omega Man, Last Man on Earth was great. Kenobi in the fish market. Oh yeah, so fishy. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Lots of love. That'd be fun little throwback Thursdays to do all 3 of them. It'd be a long throwback. They give 5-minute movies 15 minutes. That's a long video. So most people 15 minutes these days. So Oh yeah, so no, that was that's what drove the stream. That stuff that got canceled. I was like, oh, I'll just sit here and been going through my news all day long. It's just tons of stuff that's been happening. Did you guys know they're going to do another Hellboy project? Did you guys see that?
No, I must have missed that one.
I heard about that. I don't know if I'm going to say this.
They're adept.
There haven't been any really bad Hellboy movies. There haven't been a great one, but they haven't been bad. You know what I mean? But like they've largely gotten something right about each of the films. It's just the films themselves were kind of okay at best. You know, it wasn't like it was a total, like the first Judge Dredd film was a total garbage fest type of thing, except for comedy moments.
Right.
First, like the second Judge Dredd film was okay. It wasn't great, but they got the character kind of right. They got the setting kind of right.
I like Judge Dredd. I like the second Judge Dredd. I like Dredd. Sorry, I'm trying to clarify my words because I make sure I said that. I like Dredd a lot.
They did a lot right with that film. I just thought setting, some of the writing in that movie just irked me quite a bit. It's like there's another movie called The Raid Redemption. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. And the first time through that movie, it's awesome. But then the second time you watch it, like with Dredd, the second time you watch it, the holes in how the action flow happens, like you're like, wait a minute, if they just did that instead, it would have made a lot more sense and less people would have died. Like it's the same problems are in both films. Like there's a lot of great action sequences in both films, right? And a lot of cool plot stuff with the settings, but just the same mistakes where, it's like how Lucas did the prequel trilogy. He just filled in the gaps between the fight scenes, basically.
Right.
That's kind of how Dredd felt to me and how Raid Redemption felt to me. Like the story was there just to say, okay, here is the next fight scene. Here is the next like Dredd being awesome scene.
Like on cue.
Okay, so here's my thing. Go ahead, Mike. Before I say anything.
No, I think the problem is mainly that obviously Hollywood wants to push, as we know, a certain narrative, of course, right? That's quite blatantly obvious, right? But they have to do it in such a way where they know the old writers that do actually appreciate all of these IPs, like say, for example, in Star Trek and in Star Wars and, a lot of other properties that we enjoy. I think that they do know that, a lot of the writers just wouldn't stand for it because it would be a desecration of pop culture for all intents and purposes. So they have to hire a lot of these young writers that are, with it, so to speak, with all this woke bullcrap ideology that they believe in, to write all this new stuff. However, the problem is they can't write worth crap because why? A lot of them do not have any life experience that you would normally get with a more experienced older writer. And that's why everything that we're currently enjoying right now that are written by a lot of young writers is crap. There is no life experience there for them to draw on, except for the fact that, they can get upset if somebody doesn't use their proper pronouns or, misgender them or, whatever, right? They think the only way to be, cutting edge and whatnot is just be edgy and throw in, I don't know, like let's say a gay scene here and there, or or anything like that. There's no, and we kind of went over this on Titillating Tuesdays on my channel there, where the writers are even admitting, they don't know anything really about science or any of that kind of crap. When we were talking about Ant-Man and Quantumania, it's like, there's your problem right there. You would have older writers that would have even an inkling of, scientific knowledge. And if not, they would actually do their research, look up stuff to make a story very plausible. Young people, young writers, especially nowadays, are just fundamentally lazy, don't give a crap about all that. And this is why we're suffering through all these shows, because they don't give a damn. They don't have any life experience. They're lazy.
The last part is, I think, your last part probably too, and then I'll throw it to Matt. And that's one. There's no life experience. They have no There's not really been any real trials and tribulations. These aren't war veterans that can tap into emotional struggle. These aren't people that have had to work crappy jobs to go there. A lot of them are out of college. And then, of course, Marvel has handed the keys to most of the MCU over to the Rick and Morty alumni. So we're getting like a Rick and Morty mashup with the MCU, and that's basically why some of this stuff just does not work well at all. By the way,
that would actually
and I will say,
Rick and Morty is fairly well written compared to most of the MCU.
but because Rick and Morty works, right? It's like this crazy, zany animated universe that you created with these like the science and the tech will allow for almost anything. Like it was very well explained. Like this is the universe. You can't take people who think that way and then break. Like literally, episode 1 of Loki undoes 20 films. Like it just undoes 20 something films, and then when you get through. The same guy that writes Loki writes multitude of Multiverse of Madness and doesn't reference Loki. Clearly doesn't care about what he's doing. Like you literally don't care about whatever you're doing. And then when you get Quantumania, it's completely absurd. It's insane. So
exactly,
I got to pin back into our Hellboy conversation. Otherwise, we don't make any sense in this segment.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to derail.
No, you're right, but I don't think that you're wrong. I just want to go back to what Steven hits the nail on the head. Why on earth would he even do this? Because I agree with Matt in a way. I really didn't like the last one. I thought the David Harbour one was such a missed opportunity. It just seemed like it was a hodgepodge mess, and I can't understand how there could be action, and yet I felt like I was waiting for this movie to end. Like it just seemed like it just kept going, and I'm like, stuff kept happening, but I'm like, I don't understand. Like I would have to rewatch it to kind of put my finger on it better. But the first Hellboy I actually like a lot. Pearl one was great. And there are certain elements. You're absolutely right of the first two. This is actually, I think, absolutely on the nail, hitting the nail on the head there, Stephen, is its ownership probably. This now they're saying it's an animated project, which was not in the original press release. I think it said just information. What really disappoints me with this, and I'm pretty sure it's Brian Taylor. He's the guy that directed, I believe, the second Ghost Rider. That's how crappy this project's going to be. So I don't know that's all been worked out. It's called Hellboy. I think they're going to do the Crooked Man story arc, which I don't think I've ever read. If any of you are not familiar with the Hellboy comic books, imagine them not being all in numerical order, and they're just all a bunch of little stories, and there's like 50 different stories. That's the best way to explain Hellboy. It's not like issues 1 through 500. It's 500 issues all broken up into all these stories. So it is a little more challenging to try to navigate that. And I definitely don't think that I'm going to pretend to be a Hellboy expert. That's for sure.
Well, it's like The Crow. They're just these story segments with, a particular mini series or a graphic novel or whatever that you can fit into an order. You don't just have to read them in order.
Yeah. I agree. When vampires become sci-fi, sci-fi's dead. Oh, boy, you're going to trigger Nos, aren't you?
Vampires have been sci-fi for quite a long time.
Yeah, I'm not sure what our timeline is there, Ransom. I'm good with it. I'm good with it being sci-fi. I don't think so. I think everything Mike was saying is really the truth. We have a bunch of, and I've said this all along. If you go back to like my videos very early on before Pops was Pops, like it was me dabbling with Pops in between me working on other stuff. There'd be a video here, video there. And it was like, why are we hiring people who have zero experience? Like, how did you get this gig? How did this person get this job? Like that doesn't, something happened and it become very, very strange to me. I think this is different than the Hellboy thing. I think the Hellboy thing is just this random thing that's kind of been snuck in. And I think that's just another reason for why Hellboy movies keep failing. They have the worst timing, the worst creative teams. They're just a mess. So Hellboy should be perfect, but they don't need to worry about sequences having the same cast movie to movie. I don't know, Daniel. I don't know what to do to fix Hellboy, Crow, some of these kind of projects because they're just, I don't know. And Crow, I don't know what they're ever going to do there because you'll never live up to the
you involve the creators, the actual creaters.
David Elbar, is that his name? David, I can't remember his name exactly. The Crow creator.
James
he's involved
has been tied with the Crow projects before.
Well, he's supposedly involved in the writing of the new one. So for those who don't know, the original Crow movie storyline is a self-contained complete storyline. And then there are Crow stories that follow that with others who are brought back by the same means, right?
Yeah.
So the original movie series kind of followed that. It's just that Crows 2, 3, and 4 were all bad movies. You know, well, the third one kind of had potential. You know, they if they had just cleaned it up, it could have been an okay movie. But I don't want to get lost in the details. You know, so with this Crow film, unfortunately, they're going back to just remaking the first Crow movie again. You know, with Eric Draven and what's you know, his story. Now, fine if they do that, okay. But then the second film had better be another Crow storyline, not more of Eric Draven. You know,
Right.
I don't know if they're redoing an Eric Draven in this movie with the Bill Skarsgård one.
That's what I've been told. They're redoing the Eric Draven Crow story.
Okay.
Not that I've been told, but that I've read. You know.
Okay.
But I
Daniel's spot on with the concept, though. You need to have someone who has the right kind of vision. I don't think studios, though, are interested in vision right now. They're just interested in IP. They're interested in some sort of formula. They're interested in marketing. I always go back to this show. I'm actually doing a rewatch of this show. It's called The Offer on HBO Max, and it deals with the making of The Godfather. And it really struck me on the second time through. Every time, like, the money guy walks in the room, and he just starts telling them, like, well, it doesn't need to be set in the past. You could just set it in the present. And Michael is a Vietnam vet. See, problem solved, money saved. And you're just like, what?
No,
like,
it doesn't.
And I just feel like that's what happens with these projects is you don't have, because let's say if you watch The Offer and you get to see Robert Evans and he goes by Bob, but if you get to see Robert Evans and the portrayal of Robert Evans, and I've seen some of the interviews of Robert Evans, it's a big schling and schwang guy. Let me tell you what, this is a new to the game and knew how to knock the way. I mean, it was just the studio was a mess, and then you start looking at the run of successes this guy had, not just with Godfathers, but with like these other projects. You start to realize how movie making kind of works a little bit, and why it's so dysfunctional now, because now it's being like corporation, like a board, like line item decisions instead of like
it's industrialized entertainment.
Yeah, very much. Very much. I don't think we know. Roman's asking about that Crow project. I don't think we really know some of the intricacies other than Bill Skarsgård has been attached to it as the lead actor. But again, until we actually get to pre-production, I'm not counting anything, because the Crow has been in production or pre-production or development for 15 years. 15 years. Michael Fassbender, Mark Wahlberg, Jason Momoa. We can just keep going. There's tons and tons of people who've been attached to Crow at one time. So it's the same thing with Highlander. Yeah, Henry Cavill is the flavor of the month for Highlander. I would not be opposed to it, but your name. I'll believe it when I see it.
So
I'll believe it when I see it. So.
I got here's a Henry Cavill role for you for a TV show. So, and the rights are out there, they're up in the air. The Dresden Files. He's the right height. He's a little bit too built, but he has the demeanor to play Harry Dresden. He's a great actor.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was even thinking the Avengers.
Didn't they do
a
modern movie of the Avengers?
Yeah, they did with Sean Connery.
Not Marvel.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. The TV show series with Uma Thurman. What is Uma Thurman in it? Did you play? Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it was a great movie, whatever. But I remember them doing a movie like in the 90s or whatever. He could do that. I know that.
Yeah.
So I'd like to play this
game.
I definitely have this in, but there are a lot of non-genre. So my big thing, I had someone at work do this to me because I'm such a hater, you know. So I got confronted about being such a hater, and it's like,
You're terrible,
I know I am terrible. I have no problem telling people I'm terrible. You're like, well, if you could run a studio, what would you do? And I said, here's the thing. I love emotional, powerful stories, especially when they really happened. That's just me. I would love to see really powerful biographies of things that actually happen. And there are tons of stories of like the trials and tribulations and heroic efforts that came out of World War II or the Cold War that had nothing to do with combat. You know, I've been talking about how people got saved, or how people got from East Germany to West Germany, or how people avoided the Soviets, or things like that. There's these incredible heroic stories that happen that I think could really be much more inspirational for the regular Joe public.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the Maverick effect. Why did Maverick work? Because it's this emotional thing that you can relate to regular people. You really see them as these humans. That to me are the movies that we need to be making. I know that's kind of off brand for the genre stuff that we spend most of our time talking about because it's not science fiction and comic books and whatever.
I got one for you.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. So there's a guy, and I'm trying to remember the whole story here. So World War II, he was a Nazi, and he was involved in the camps, let's just say, right? And he was especially supposed to process children. So years later, they thought they caught a Nazi, right? Because they were comparing, and they were saying this guy's one of the worst of the worst. All these kids disappeared. Turns out he was saying the kids were dying and faking their deaths, and rescued hundreds and hundreds of Jewish children. And they had a conference with him. You can find it on YouTube where they didn't even tell him why he was getting together. He was like 90 something or whatever. He was old, and all the little kids who were still alive, who he had rescued, came together to honor him.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll find the video and get a link in the channel for you guys. But they can make an amazing movie out of that.
Well, I'm at the point now, and Mike and I think we're talking about this, but Matt, before you got here, I don't know if you heard us in chat, but I think this is the comic book story I think I'm going to start writing. I think I'm going to ask for somebody to give me a sample of a script, a comic book strip, like the format.
Yeah,
I think I may just start doing something like that. Because remember when we used to have some of those biography type comics, Matt? Like they would be like random ones. You know, they wouldn't really be
comic literally called biography.
Yeah, they're just these random things. The music ones were a big deal. Like people love to get like, you know, the Kiss ones. And then, of course, we ended up with Psycho Circus, you know, actual Kiss comic books. But I think there's something to be said for that element of storytelling that's not this Oscar crap. Like, it's not about just some sort of look at me stuff. It's more like about heroism and incredible feats of humanity and things like that. There's and of course, I've been very transparent about my faith. There's a famous hymn writer who was blind. And she's written like a ton of these hymns and stuff. And I was like, man, what a fascinating story. So I don't have her biography, so I would have to get her to feel a little more grounded to that type of story. But there's tons of those kinds of like incredible things. And survival stories are always amazing. So
yeah.
Okay, stage 666 children. I'll look it up, Matt. I'm really intrigued by that kind of stuff.
Children.
Hit me up on Twitter too if you don't find it right now. Go ahead.
Yeah. I put it above that in the link, but it can't be hyperlinked because I'm not a mod. But in the link right above that, it's there. I'll send it to you through Twitter as well.
Yeah, Twitter.
Yeah, totally.
That kind of thing. So very cool. Very cool. But if you had a chance to make a movie, you said Dresden, great choice. Mike you threw Avengers out there, also a great choice. Cool stuff.
The Saint.
The Saint, bringing the Saint back. Did you guys like the Val Kilmer one?
I didn't mind it, but I never watched the original series, so I didn't really know too much about it. But I know it's on the Roku channel, and so I've been watching all those old episodes, right? And it's like, oh wow, that's kind of different than the Val Kilmer movie, right? And I like them both. Classic Roger Moore. But and the thing is, you can see in the Roger Moore episodes of The Saint, you can really see how he took that character and transferred much of it over to James Bond when he played James Bond. Love it.
I've seen episodes of Saint, but I didn't watch it like in order. I'd love to do that as well. I actually liked the Val Kilmer one. I really had a good time. I remember seeing when it dropped in theaters, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Matt, Daniel wants to know.
Okay.
Daniel was throwing out about the actual show, the Dresden show. The file show. I'll
give you the brief version of that. First off, they showed the episodes out of the order they were created in, and the episodes were serial. You didn't understand, like, out of nowhere he pulls. It's hard to explain, but you don't know. Harry is an actual wizard. For those who read the novel, we know he's a real wizard, right? But for the way they broadcast the episodes, the network said, no, we want to downplay the magic, so we're going to put the episode out in this order, right? So it should have been the first episode where you saw Harry was an actual wizard. It wasn't until like the 6th or 7th episode, and so he looks like some sort of like stage magician for the first couple of episodes who's just faking it, right? So the whole mainstream audience was faked out by like annoyed, and that was one problem. They got a lot of the casting pretty. The actor who played Harry was pretty good. The change to Bob for TV show medium was good. Like that, have an actor play a talking skull is not going to work. Even Butcher said that the Jeep was a way better idea than what I had, and the hockey stick was a way better idea than what I had in the show, in the books. So that was a show where, and I remember reading the showrunner who got fired off of it. He was fighting all the time with the network. He was like, there's a lot of good ideas in there. It just failed on implementation because of network interference and stuff like that. So, I can still rewatch that TV show every so often and get some good, enjoyable moments out of it.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, a lot of love for the Saint. Yeah, that's an underrated gem. I've jotted that down for like a rewind. Throw that out there again. This is that love the recommendations guy for the Throwback Thursday in particular, where I guess pick random movies. And by the way, though, Stephen Ransom, never forgot, man. I got to find a way to get a copy of Firefox. I don't own it, and it's not streaming for free anywhere. So I'm trying to manage a copy. I can get you a copy
later.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've asked for someone to help me with that. I just never got. Yes.
You're talking the Clint Eastwood movie? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just because of Steve Ransom.
Ever did.
I'm all about suggestions. So I love trying to give you guys what you guys want. I mean, this is the best part of it all. It's a lot of fun.
A ways back, someone mentioned science fiction vampires. So the best science fiction vampires, if you want to read, these are Lovecraftian style novels, and they're pretty good. Brian Lumley's Necroscope series. The ones about the two Kios, not the reborn Necroscope later on, but the first two series of them. Right. Great science fiction vampire series. Very Lovecraftian novels. The whole, So if you want to read something, I was totally into that sort of like all the psychic stuff in Lovecraft and all the, and some espionage stuff thrown in there and all that. And it takes place during the late Cold War. It's really good. Brian Lumley Necroscope series.
Very cool. Nice. Necroscope.
Yeah. And they are trying to do another Dresden Files TV show, Daniel. I haven't, because Butcher's website basically sucks now. But when he became disassociated with the fans who were running a site for years, because now the corporation's running it. But fans used to update all the time. But as about 2 years ago, new license attempt had been made by someone who Butcher thought would potentially put a good TV show out, but then the coup happened. So
Okay.
Que sera.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. All right, guys. Okay, let's go around here real quick. Mike, when are you streaming again? What's the schedule like at the Comic Relief Crusader mansion?
Well, let's see. Oh, does he?
Life Force, Roman.
What was it? That weird naked vampire sci-fi movie from the early 80s. Oh, yeah, Life Force. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can get the, I think it's a remastered or director's edition, it's even better.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
It was sexy.
Daniel, you got to get me another. Daniel's got to make another commercial. I don't have that uploaded to Restream. I played the 2-minute long Daniel commercial about writing, how to be a writer in modern Hollywood. It's fantastic. The cut that I used on my Super Bowl stream, and it went through fine. The 2-minute version got copyright flagged, so I'll have to go back to the 30-second one. But I need another one, Daniel. You got to produce me another commercial. I have to. I got to have material. We got to throw together. This is the Pops verse. So, by the way, the Pops verse is a thing. Like, we're actually looking at trying to make the Pops verse a thing, which would be like an actual website, like outside the scope of this stuff. It would be its own thing, kind of what Ripaverse is. Not that I'm going to be a comic book publisher anytime soon, but just the concept of having something that is at least like has a broken line to all of this. It's at least being talked about. I'm not sure that I have it in me to like start a whole other website again. And I don't necessarily want a website about me. I'd rather more like a gateway to stuff that I like as well. Like, so for me, like if you're not subscribed to Wakazashi's Tea House for comic book stuff, it's a great way to have someone filtering through some of that stuff for you. He does read through stuff. Just know Gray tends to err on the side of positive, where Pops tends to err on the side of negative. That's all. Just know a little bit. So, yeah. So anyway, yeah. So let me go back to Mike, though. Sorry, I cut you off, brother. Talk a little bit about what's going on, and yeah, anything we talk about, man. Whatever.
Okay.
Fun hanging out.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, let's see. If I may share a little something that I'm working on, as we were talking about comics and all that kind of stuff. So, right now, I'm 30 years ago. I had with a bunch of guys, a bunch of friends. We had our own little, fanzine comic book label, right? And I kind of shared this on my channel. We had Drop Off Comics, and kind of like the Beatles, we had a good run all the way back in St. Brunswick, and but we ended up breaking up like the Beatles, right? And that was like actually literally 30 years ago. And so, we've all kind of dispersed onto our own things. One guy, I know he's all the way in Japan. The other guys are still back in St. John doing who knows whatever. And, like watching shows like yours and Clobber Times, for example, also, and whatnot, it's really got me back into enjoying comics again. And so I thought, well, God, why not just start doing my own thing again? I mean, God, I'm in graphic design and stuff like that, and doing these little projects here and there. So right now I'm working on reintroducing Drop Off Comics again. Our old label from 30 years ago. I got a story right now, so I'm doing a little bit of character creation because I've always had an affinity for, manga style and whatnot. And so I'm right here doing a little bit of character creating, as it were. And I got a storyline all kind of lined up. I'm not going to go into it right yet because, it's still a little bit in the developmental stage, but it has to do a little bit with cryptozoology, so to speak. Yeah. So I kind of tend to draw my stories off of, I enjoy superheroes and whatnot. That love will never die. But I've always been, kind of fascinated with the manga aspect of how they approach a story with just an ordinary guy that gets caught up in some sort of situation where they seem extraordinary. Doesn't matter what the situation is, right? Taking an ordinary person and putting him into some sort of weird, extraordinary situation. And I've always kind of liked that aspect. So I'm working on a story right now. Yeah, and every Tuesday, we got Titillating Tuesdays where we just poke fun at stuff, have fun, chat about whatever's going on in pop culture, whatever just happens to be on my scabby little mind as well, and just invite various people now. Chat.
Let me ask you. Let me interject and let me ask you: how do you manage your creative process? Do you write, draw every day? Is it certain hours of the day? Is it brainstorm? You're a paper guy. What's inside Mike's brain a little bit on how to navigate that?
Well, that's the thing, because right now I'm managing this shop where I do my graphic design, and it's a chance that my wife and I are taking right now. She's got a photo studio in the back. I do my graphic design, and then until this store makes money, I'm also working a second job at a vinyl siding plant where I work 3 12-hour shifts on the weekend. So, and then on top of that, doing a YouTube channel as well. And I'm trying to find time to, just set time aside and just draw, trying to, brush up those skills again that I had so many years ago, because graphic design is a little different than drawing a comic book.
Sure.
It might seem the same, but it's a little different. But you still have a little bit of skills to draw on here and there. So I just try to find the time and just draw. And like I mentioned before, doing a little bit of this animation secret project that I'm doing, it's been really great practice. Because you're drawing again. You're using those tools that you had stored away in the back of your head, it's like, okay, I know how to do perspective, especially like when it comes to limbs reaching out or this way or that way or whatever. And it's like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. So it's a big retraining going on right now as well. So.
Well, I think it's just a fascinating thing because I think now more than ever, and I know there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with YouTube and potential changes, and obviously big Supreme Court case. And reality is, the world's just going to keep changing, and you have to kind of figure out how to ebb and flow and find ways to tap into what brings you joy and happiness with that creative part of things and that kind of stuff. So I'm just always fascinated with how people navigate that. And I know you have the job thing and the family thing and all that. So I just thought I'd ask. So that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. It's,
Matt, how about you, bro? What's going on?
Family as well, and juggling all that.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun. Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
No, man, what's going on with you, man?
I promise people I will get back doing videos in the next couple of days. It's been I slowed down a lot over the last 2 months just because I don't know if I've been sick or tired or whatever, but I'll have my review for the rig out finally in the next day or two. I'll be back to reviewing Bleach, this season of the anime Bleach. That trade will be recorded. I'll just be producing content again, but it's been a while. It's slowed down a lot over the last 2 months just for reasons, Maybe the winter doldrums, illnesses, whatever, No.
And I want to say, I don't know if I caught Stephen Ransom, if you're still there or not, Stephen. Thank you again for the kind words and support, man. He chimed in literally within minutes of, I think I put on the members only first to have a first look at that Creature Commandos that I did because I recorded the audio and stuff, I believe, while I was at the farm. So I did like a narration tool because I couldn't stream. Right. So I couldn't use StreamYard or Restream. I had to use a narration tool to do audio over still images and just allowed for some transitions and things like that. So I was trying to do kind of like what you were saying, Mike, trying to find a way to take advantage of time because time is our most valuable asset. Go, well, what if I did this? Would somebody even bother trying to sit through it? Now, I know it's not necessarily the digestible content that, like Gary at Neurotic's going to put together with his amazing staff and be able to put super cool clips together and stuff like that. But at least it communicates my thought process and kind of puts a virtual sticky note on the wall of what my brain was when this was where I'm at. And that's kind of how I have some of my videos. It's like, I'm not chasing views or viewers or whatever. I'm trying to capture my opinions and thoughts and things like that. Because I do enjoy the thought of how things have evolved over time. Because I'm going to do a Passion of the Christ video for Easter, right?
Nice.
And there may not be a movie that I have had a bigger evolution on than that film. I hated that film when it came out. I despised it. I could not stand that film when it came out. So I definitely have to talk a lot about where I was and why I probably didn't like it versus where I have been and then how I view it now. And I hope that is beneficial to someone who may not like it. Maybe they can look at it differently as I have.
Right.
So things like that I think are important. Like you can learn how you evolve on your opinion on things and how you can kind of see things change in your own like aesthetics feel for things, like what you like and don't like. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So guys, thanks for hopping on with me. This was a complete spontaneous thing to begin with. I just thought I'd throw it out there. I'm going to try to download this and pull some clips out of it and use it for my Monday, Tuesday stuff because I don't really have anything set for Monday or Tuesday. So there'll be Joe Frankenstein and Last of Us.
Not start a new topic or anything, but just as
you can. Let's do it.
So I see that Stephen Ewan, who's Glenn from Walking Dead, is reportedly been cast to play the Sentry from Marvel.
Oh, that's an awful casting.
Ooh.
Awful casting, an awful character, right? So
I hate that character. Yeah,
you have a minority actor, so they're wokeifying the Sentry, right? But the Sentry is a character who, when he's written well, is a mentally unstable jerk. Okay, so you have an actor who's very likable in a woke role casting, playing an extremely unlikable character. This is going to end awesome. This movie's going to make $8 billion. It's just going to be over the top. I mean, come on. Like it's on TBR, Roman, Pops, if you want to pull it up. I literally, just as I was glancing, I'm looking at some news, anything happened in the last couple hours,
Well, I'm glad you did, because that is and we'll talk about that. Let me put a little comment here. Yeah, Roman, I agree, man. I watch this movie every year. I have watched this movie. I used to hold screens at the church as a deacon, like every, we'd have an Easter type screening. So it would either be maybe, I don't know, we would pick a day. Some people, I don't know if we ended up on Good Friday or we do it on Tuesdays or whatever it was, but my evolution on that film has changed a lot. So I'm curious on how it'll play out on my rewatch and stuff like that. I can't stand the Sentry character. You guys know I've been trying to purge a lot of stuff, and I think I don't even know if I had some of my Sentry trading cards posted in my eBay store, but I'm at the point now where if I can just make a few cents on those, I will be thrilled just to not have them anymore. Like, I'm just like, I'm like, please just, I'm at that point where some of these things, I hate the card. People are like, some guy bought like 9 of these Wasp cards because of the movie. I imagine he probably has a shop somewhere, and I'm thinking to myself, God for taking them, because to me it was an ugly card. It just didn't look good. It was just like a terrible card. So to each their own, I guess. So,
oh man,
Steven Wen as freaking Sentry is to me awful. Oh my gosh, I don't know what burns this down, Matt. I don't know what burns Disney Marvel down. I really don't. I'm going to do, well, I don't have to do a video. Let's just talk about this. So we'll do a video and it will say, something about Sentry, and then I will say why it's dead. I talked to my complete brainwashed shill friend that I love like a brother. He's my closest friend from high school. He has loved all of this stuff. He's made excuses for all of this. He tried to justify the Loki season finale at me. He's all that. Ant-Man Quantumania finally broke his brain. And he was like, WTF, what am I watching? This is dog crap. Because they had watched the first 2. They liked them. And then they saw this. And it was all the CGI, no story, the stupidity of all of it. It finally broke his brain. And I remember I got off the phone and I called my wife and I says, well, I guess there's a turning point, because now they are losing a normie shill like that. Like someone that has justified. And he even admitted, because see, this is what happens, Mike and Matt, I'm telling you, that when you break the normie, you're not breaking them just on Ant-Man Quantumania. They start to go, well, maybe I was a little bit wrong. And he already started to say, I think I was really giving him a lot of leeway on phase 4 because of the pandemic. Maybe, because I don't know. I'm like, yeah, because here's my phrase, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because I have a whole friend who went home to his family. So now the kids are this way and the wife is that way. And they can't unsee it. They'll watch shows. Like they couldn't get through Kenobi. They couldn't get through because once you see it, you can't unsee it.
You can't unsee it. So and then you start questioning everything.
Once you get that moment of cognitive dissonance, the attempt to resolve it makes you frighteningly aware of what you should do.
We need to do a thumbnail like Marvel Red Pill. Quantum Mania. It's like a quantum. It is like the red pill for my friend. It really was. He was going off. I was talking about like the stupidity of why Kang just didn't take the technology for himself. Why do we have this stupid? It was so dumb.
I know.
He didn't even like the communism and the ants. I figured that would be right up his. I thought that would be right up his speed. He was like, no, I didn't even like that. I'm like, he didn't even like that.
I know. Well, I know socialism is a hot word, but
I was so stupid. It was so dumb.
Shut up.
Was so dumb. And he really hated
how many
the
holes
ending.
Do you have? Does it matter?
And Matt, I pitched him my ending. Like, I don't understand why. They have that fight scene and you think Scott's going to lose. And then right before Wasp jumps through to save the day. But instead of that, they should have had Kang go through and it closes. He's covered in some blood. He destroys the machine and blips out of there somehow. So now he's loose in our universe. You don't know if Scott lived or not. Now, everyone and their brother will be talking about this movie, no matter how bad it sucked otherwise. Yeah. But instead, Ant-Man beat Kang. Your big bad now has lost twice. Lost to Lady Loki.
Now, I am black-pilled on the Marvel movies. The only one I'm considering watching is Deadpool. It's the only one because Ryan Reynolds has proven with that character he cares about it. It's the only one I'm interested in. But
I'll watch Guardians 3.
but
I'll give it a chance.
The show director, whatever, said about Kang, well, the villain, I think good villains have to lose first. I'm like,
No, they don't.
You don't want the villain to lose until they lose.
I've been rereading the Kang appearances, and I know why I didn't like it. It's so retconned and rewritten. It's like you feel like Stan and them were just making this crap up. Like you just really do feel like this was not. This was some of the stuff that somehow survived, but is really not their good stuff. And I don't know why they think it's good now. Like it's so strange to me with this whole Ramatut Kang, and then it's suddenly this Kang, and then it's like suddenly it's like I'm reading these comics and I'm like, my God, no wonder I didn't like this stuff. I never liked Kang. I always thought, bring me more Ultron in my Avengers comics. I really always enjoyed that. I got to be honest, and Matt, you probably remember that. So it's my key issue is Avengers 181, but following that, there were these little Avengers Adventures is what they should have called it, because it was like these 1 issues, maybe 2 issues, where they would just do something, and it was like they took a D&D dice of who's going to save the day that week. So it was this month. So it's the Wasp is going to save the day. Falcon's going to save the day. We're going to get rid of Thor for a couple issues. It was like the adventures of the Avengers. And as a little kid, I was so hooked on all those characters. And
my favorite Avengers moment, comic wise, which is more than the movies, is I remember the story, but Ultron had like taken over a country and killed a lot of people, whatever. And Ultron, we would have words with thee. When Thor busted in there and and led the Avengers to take out Ultron. That whole little storyline there, and at that moment, and I think they tried to duplicate it for the movie. I remember them trying to do it, but
it tried to have its moment, and the problem is that they tried to kill Ultron off with the way they ended it. And well, first off, let's say goodnight to Steven Ransom. I think you're probably hopping over to another chat. Another show later. I'll see you there, I'm sure. I don't understand, Matt, why there was not a post-credit scene with a random Ultron head somewhere, and its lights
and just hearing what's his face's voice.
No, not even a voice. Just have the lights flicker on.
Well, like Spader has an awesome villain voice.
Oh, I mean, beautiful voice.
Just to hear him like do at the end of the post-credit scene, is just you see an Ultron head and you hear Spader saying some sort of nursery rhyme or something with the Avengers name in it.
It's all like disconjointed or discombobulated, but the lights are flickering. Like it's not even on. It's just like it's flickering. You don't quite know if it's got power or whatever. And this is why Blacklist, especially the first couple seasons of Blacklist, are so good, because Spader is off the chart freaking good. Oh my gosh.
That's the only reason I'm watching the Blacklist till the end is because of Spader. After the third or fourth season, I kind of like.
That's where I started to bail out. I'm not saying I wouldn't watch it again, but season 1, season 2 were freaking great. And actually, that's the kind of stories I'd love to write. I'd love to write that type of spy stuff with, or mafia type story where, I've always wanted to do like the real life mafia where we're the mafiosos. It'd be regular guys like us. We don't wear fancy clothes because the cops would catch us. We don't leave evidence because we're the scientists. You would have scientists and doctors and stuff in your payroll. You wouldn't have just these random thugs that would leave evidence everywhere. Oh no, you would have someone like me who knows how to liquefy a human being. Like he would these disturbing elements that came to life in Blacklist.
That was one of the Blacklist villains. What was he called? The guy who would liquefy people and so they couldn't become the cleaner.
Yeah. He had no hair. He had like no eyebrows. So we wouldn't leave any DNA or anything. Oh, that was the best. That episode. I remember sitting there with my wife, and I said, "Well, if I was ever a villain, I think I found my role model right there. That would be me as a scientist right now. I'm telling you right now, because I remember telling her I was in shock and horror, and also in like mad respect of this crime story that I covered. I think it was California, and this dude, he liquefied. I think it was his wife or something. Like had her in a vat in a barrel or whatever. And I guess somehow.
I heard about that.
And it was this crazy story, but it was like I remember writing these crime stories, and it was like this one story. I'm like,
well,
this
it's
guy is like the real deal guy.
Yeah.
Do you remember the movie Sicario? The opening of the movie Sicario, where they found the body sealed into walls permanently.
Oh, absolutely true story.
Yeah,
100% true story.
Yeah. So I read
was
about
in the theater. I was in the theater going, I wrote about half these things that are happening in this movie. I said, this is possibly a docudrama and not a fictional film. I'm literally, I had to stop writing about that stuff, Matt, because they were like, people would send you stuff like back in the press. See, when you did press, like from like 2007 to 2012,
right?
They would just talk to you and send you stuff. Like they didn't really even care. It would be like these uncensored photos of what the cartels would leave in a bathtub. And it was like,
worse.
Okay, well, I won't be able to eat lunch today. Thank you for this. Like, it was bad. I had to stop doing it. I was like, I can't, for my own mental health, keep covering, because no one's doing anything about it. That was the grand revelation. Is I enjoyed writing about things that no one was writing about, but no one was going to do anything. And in Sicario, you saw it.
Yeah.
So I pointed out exactly why.
Since the 1990s, right? Since the 1990s, the FBI has been consulting in Mexico, because what the cartels do now is they take people when they kill them. That sometimes they don't think they just put them in alive, put them in a barrel, put chemicals in it, sealed, and just bury the barrel. And after 5 years, there's nothing but organic waste left. So they call an FBI in to do advanced tests that the Mexican government can't do to try to identify the remains of these people. And they're finding like hundreds and thousands of these type of things across Mexico. Cartels just erasing people like that. And,
we were covering the Pablo Escobar reality show where they were sending treasure hunters down there to find the barrels and stuff of things that were barrels full of money and stuff left down there.
Yeah,
they were still finding these random treasures of things that were stashed and stuff like that. Exact same principle. The stuff that would happen in these countries, just you're just like, what the heck? What did they? Yeah. Oh, that movie. Oh, I wrote that movie down. That actually is on. It's actually in the other notebook. It's already moved up because it came up in one of our other conversations about that movie.
I'm an American of Italian descent, so to speak. So I know the organized crime more than my family knows, right? And anytime you look at organized crime, the first generation starts out as like friends of the people, and as soon as they go away, you get these psychopaths who just take it all over. Like what was his name? Escobar. You could never kill a regular person if you worked for Escobar, right? Because he wanted to do business. He wanted to be a man of the people, right? Yeah. He gets taken out. Now the guys who took over his organization, they mass murder whole villages, or even like the Sinaloa. There's an economist who was talking. He's on Joe Rogan a bunch now. He's an expert on the economy, obviously, and he's pointed out. You know why we really had the crime drop off in the 2010s and all that? The Sinaloa cartel, which ran the drugs in Mexico, wanted peace, just wanted to do business, didn't want to get any regular people killed and call attention to themselves by the cops, and so forth. Well, we took out the Sinaloa cartel, and the cartels now, they're very evil and militant, and they're just getting ready to start a war with the U.S. government the way they waged war with the Mexican government, And now I'm just saying what he said. I'm not trying to raise anyone's opinion on this, but the whole, every time we think we encounter something in fiction that's horrible, you can find something in truth that's as bad or worse.
Well, usually it's the writer is inspired or stealing from something. That's. I mean, literally, I remember again going back to the NSA conversation we were having. How long ago, but it was around 2005, and I remember writing it, being called crazy and everything because it was like they could go in, they could turn on your laptop and watch you. They could go in and turn on your TVs if it was a smart TV. And of course, you sound like a crazy person in 2005. But then whenever it shows up in a Bourne Identity movie, everyone thinks it's the coolest effing thing ever. And you're like,
that's totally plausible.
They also act like it's still science fiction. I said they could do this. I have documents they could do this back then.
Yeah.
It was not even like a gray area. Why do you think all of the TVs and everything changed? Because they wanted to have access.
Oh, exactly. The military has been doing this for 30, 40 years. They are so ahead that you couldn't possibly fathom.
Oh, I can fathom.
I wouldn't.
I was trying to watch the J. Edgar movie so we could do a review, and I couldn't do it. It made me so angry because I knew how bad that is and was, and how exponentially it's gone. And I'm just like, I can't. The movie actually makes me. It's one of the few movies that I know is okay. It's not a great movie. It's okay. But it actually bothers me so much personally. I cannot watch it. I could not get that movie.
It's pretty similar to a documentary that I watched. I believe it was last year, where they do the Skunk Works, at Lockheed Martin. And apparently where they have the hangar for doing the skunk works, they have a very deep sub basement, and it's extremely super secret. They said the stuff that's down there would put George Lucas to shame, would put Star Trek to shame. That's how advanced we're talking. So,
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but anyway, Pops, I actually have to get going.
I know. I totally understand. We kind of kept going and on, and we have fun. We lose track of time, so we're already at like 8:30 my time.
I know, right? Because I got flyers to do. I got a contract with these people that I gotta get done. And oh my god, it's just been revision after revision all day. I'm telling you, it's nuts.
Listen though, guys, I can't tell you how much fun I had just hanging out and doing stuff with you guys. All the people that came and go and chat. All you guys that are watching this after the fact. If you're watching any of our clips, Lord knows, Lord help you. We're having a blast, having fun doing this, and hopefully you are too. If you don't have a channel, you're doing something, just talk about what you enjoy doing. Find people you enjoy hanging out with. Get on, chat about a few things. It's okay. Just do whatever. So, guys, love you guys like brothers. It's awesome to do this kind of stuff. Guys, all of you out there, thank you again for hanging out with us. I am Pops. Take care. Graphics. Hold on. Gotta find the Restream buttons. There's Bob.
All I do is chill. My life is a thrill, for real, Bob Ross. I be too calm for the drama. You don't wanna cause a problem, I'll solve it, Bob Ross.